ESPN, for more than a decade, your home for Major League Baseball.
The season is in full swing, already filled with special moments. And tonight, Sammy Sosa and the Cubs face the Cards, who have had some heroics in place of Mark McGwire. Most of you will see Sammy Sosa and the Cubs take on St. Louis. Sosa on opening day went 0 for 4, while some of you will see the...
Wednesday Night Baseball on ESPN. Welcome, everybody. A beautiful early summer evening. The St. Louis Cardinals at home to take on the Chicago Cubs in Game 2 of this series. The first one won by the Cardinals. Hello, everybody. I'm Gary Thorne along with Rick Sutcliffe. Delighted to have you with us here in St. Louis tonight. Mark McGwire, as was true in Game 1, bothered by a bad back. He will not be in the lineup tonight. Rick, the Cardinals have got to learn to win without him anyway at times, and that turns to pitching.
Well, it certainly does. They've brought in 3 veteran pitchers that they hope can turn this thing around. There's been a reason they've struggled the last couple of years. There's been some arm injuries, and one of them played in Coors Field. But they're here in St. Louis now, and what they bring with them is 26 years of Major League experience, 328 wins, and a Cy Young Award. If Dave Duncan did just finally tune them a little bit, they can get back to where they were.
In this day and age, there's really not much room when it comes to pitchers getting hurt. I mean, if you have a key guy go down, you're in trouble.
You are, and that's where your minor league system has to be there for you. Finally, the St. Louis Cardinals AAA system is ready to provide some people if the injuries occur this year. The interviews, he had to sign all the autographs, and he's just not good at saying no.
All right, let's take a look at the lineup for the Chicago Cubs in tonight's game. Don Baylor's club will have Eric Young leading it off. He'll be at second base. Gutierrez at shortstop batting second. Sammy Sosa in the third hole will make the start in right field. Take a look here. You see Sosa and Rodriguez this season just 3 for 23 combined and no RBIs. Between the two of them is Mark Grace. Payne Andrews makes the start at third base. Damon Buford will be in center field. Joe Girardi working behind the plate, and John Lieber will make the start for the Chicago Cubs. 82 degrees here tonight for Don Baylor, heating up already. He's got a ball club that's going to struggle to win games this year, and he knows that. They are particularly weak in the pitching department right now, especially with Kerry Wood not being able to start the season, a bullpen that's questionable. So for Don Baylor, he knows a quick, good start would give this club some confidence, but it won't be easy tonight. St. Louis Cardinals start Pat Hinken.
Well, if they're going to get Pat Hinken, they need to think about getting him in the first inning. Last year, he led the major leagues with 36 runs allowed. Now, how does that happen to a veteran pitcher? Well, when he's down in the bullpen, he gains control of his fastball, his slider, all of his pitches. The problem is he doesn't have to deal with the emotional part of the game. All of a sudden, you add the crowd, the new mound, you put some adrenaline in. That's the reason Pat Hinken has struggled in the first inning.
Interesting with Pat Hinken today, talking with Tony La Russa on the field. He looked over my shoulder into the right field corner and said, hey, that's Pat Hinken down there throwing. He didn't know Hinken threw in the outfield on the day that he starts. That's what he was doing today, and maybe has to do with those first inning, Rick, to get ready earlier.
Well, obviously he needs to change some things, because when you're the worst in all of baseball in that first inning, something's got to give. Take a look at the defense here behind Pat Hinken. 3 guys that could play center field out there in the outfield. Jim Edmonds being the guy getting the call. Couple of gold gloves going along with Jim Edmonds. When he's healthy, he's just simply a weapon out there in center field. And guess what? He's healthy, and he has been smiling since he put that Cardinal uniform on.
One of the all-time great catchers by an outfielder right there. If you make that play in a World Series, you're Willie Mays all over again. It was during the regular season, still gets seen. I mean, that was a spectacular play by Edmonds, and those are the reasons he's won those gold gloves.
Didn't it seem like he was a regular on ESPN Plays of the Week for a couple of years? Well, he won the gold glove in '97 and '98. He just wasn't 100% last year.
Big Mac gets to be a fan again. Did not start in Game 1, nor will he start here tonight, where we're late in the year. He could play. Hinken's ready to go. Young will lead it off, and the first pitch is taken for a strike. Eric Young, the leadoff batter for the Chicago Cubs, who are now 1-2 on the season. Those are the numbers for Eric Young. Henkin comes in a hurry on him, 0-2.
That's one way to stay out of a big first inning. Come out throwing strikes.
Pat Henkin, as Rick said, this is the inning that bothers him, and sometimes what pitchers do when they have an inning and it's the first inning that's a problem is you throw longer before you actually go to the mound, so that you're in your maybe second inning in number of pitches thrown by the time you actually get out there.
You know, I've even had pitching coaches stand in the batter's box when you warm up in the bullpen.
Grounded towards the hole. Renteria, long throw. Paquette tagged him and got him. Well, Mark McGuire said, someday I may be noted as a great manager. I pulled myself out of game 1 and the guy hits a home run. He pulls himself out of game 2 and Paquette comes off the bag and takes the Renteria throw and makes a nice play at first base.
Paquette really did do a nice job there, but it wouldn't have mattered how Renteria had not gotten to that ball. Look at him off balance right there and still gets enough on it to beat Eric Young to the bag with the throw, and then Paquette simply takes it from there.
Nice defensive play. Boy, does that help a pitcher. Change the whole complexion of an inning. You get that first out on a tough play.
1/3 of the runs that Pat Hinkin gave up last year were in the first inning. That's a big play for his confidence.
Mark's going, can I get back in this lineup? Probably. You got a chance. A 1-0 count. Ricky Gutierrez 0 for 4 in the series and takes the pitch up high. Chicago Cubs are really struggling when it comes to the offense here early on, and that is something Don Baylor's hoping doesn't last for very long. They're going to need some runs to help their staff. High strike called on that one, 2-1. Tim Cheetah's working the plate tonight. Chuck Merriweather, Greg Gibson, and Steve Ripley are the umpiring crew here in St. Louis. Late swing, fair ball down the line. Could be it bounces off the stands. Could be just a single, and that's what it will be. Eric Davis played it well. Davis played that off that stand that juts out down there, and it'll be a single for Ricky Gutierrez.
Well, you think about the great ball clubs. You think about the Yankees. Why are they so strong? One of the reasons is they're solid up the middle defensively. The St. Louis Cardinals all of a sudden are in that same position. When you put Matheny behind home plate, you put Edmonds in center, you got Vigna now to go along with Renteria, and then 3 outfielders like that. Eric Davis just took a base away from Ricky Gutierrez.
So it holds him at first, and here's Sammy Sosa. 4 strikeouts already. He led the National League in strikeouts last year. 3 in the first game here against the Cardinals. Has not picked up an RBI. 1 down. And Gutierrez on at first base will be held by Greg Paquette. And a strike taken.
How about the home run Sosa hit in batting practice today?
Rick, that was unbelievable. Dead center field in the upper deck underneath the scoreboard. We'll show you that in a minute here.
I've been coming here since 1976. I've never seen anyone reach that part of the ballpark.
Batting practice or not, staying outside on the setup and missed with it. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mark McGuire can hit him out there on occasion, but even he doesn't put him up in the center field area very often.
No, he usually pulls them out of the stadium.
Yeah, down that left field line, obviously. Sammy Sosa with a 1 ball, 1 strike count. Henkin's done well against Sosa in his career. Sosa way behind on that one. Sosa still looks a little tired in that swing that you were talking about, Rick. He just doesn't look very comfortable or ready to go.
What he was doing in batting practice was trying to go to the opposite field with everything. And he's going to go to the opposite field with that swing right there because it's just well behind the good fastball of Hinkin.
1 ball, 2 strike count. I want to check to see if he went. No. Chuck Merriweather at first base, the umpire said he did not go around. And a 2 ball, 2 strike count on Sammy Sosa. Pat Henkin is a big hope for this team. 31-year-old right-hander. He can come along and be an outstanding starter for them, not be hurt. Gives the Cardinals a much better chance to get above that 500 mark that they did not make last year. 3-2 count on Sosa.
Gary, some of the Cubs were telling me that the trip to Japan was difficult, the time of the flight and all that was tough, but they could have dealt with that. The toughest part for them were the 3 days that they missed on the way back, not seeing live major league pitching. your bullpen coach and your coaches that throw batting practice, they just can't pump it up like these guys in the big leagues can.
That was a worry for both the Mets and the Cubs going over to Tokyo to open up the series. Not so much over there, but what would happen when they got back. And the couple of days they had off. Runner goes 3-2 and a towering pop-up. Second base, Vina near the line. And he'll put it away. Gutierrez goes back to the bag, and Sosa on the 3-2 pops out late on the pitch. 2 down for Henkin.
No reason to do anything different. Just stay away. This is exactly what Darryl Kyle did to Sammy Sosa on Monday. Good fastballs, outer half. He's just not able to catch up with him right now.
Well, that'll bring up Mike Grace with Sosa out of there and a runner at first and 2 down. The perennial 300 hitter, Mark Grace, in the cleanup hole behind Sammy Sosa, trying to provide a little protection because Grace is not your prototype cleanup batter.
I think Grace, more than anybody in this lineup, though, is going to give Henkin trouble, particularly with the long ball. His best fastball has a little movement from right to left. That coming in on the bat of Mark Grace. He can open up when he has to.
1-0 count. Boy, Henkin has really struggled against the lefties throughout his career. Last year they hit 306 off him. Right-handers just 265. He gives up a lot of home runs. The left-handers get a lot off him. Tony La Russa, 5th year with the Cardinals, trying to get to that 500 mark himself with the Cardinals. Kind of a make-or-break year in that regard for him as well. That one is taken down and in, and a 2-ball 1-strike count on Grace. Tony La Russa finally got the new contract taken care of, but he knows it's time here in St. Louis for them to be competitive. When you've got McGuire on your club and you've had losing seasons with him, you really want to find a way to turn that around and give McGuire a chance to be part of a winning team because he can make such a difference for you.
And Tony told me before the game Monday the reason he didn't sign that extension with the Cardinals to the end of the year, he wanted to make sure that his players did not quit on him, that they played hard.
Fouled off by Grace. So satisfied they did that, he came back. 2-ball 2-strike count on Grace. He's feeling pretty good. I mean, the back really was much better yesterday and again today, and he took full batting practice and ground balls at first base. Runner at first, Gutierrez, with a 2-2 count and 2 down. Henkin a long look at it, and Grace puts that one into fair territory. That will roll down. Gutierrez will make the turn at third. Davis had to go way back to get it. And a double for Mr. Doubles. RBI for Mark Grace and a 1-0 lead for the Cubs.
It's the little cut fastball from Pat Henkin right here, and you think back to the first hit of the game, Eric Young. If Renteria and Paquette don't make a great play, this double right here drives in 2 runs. Grace is not able to elevate that ball to hit it out of the ballpark. He hits it hard. He hits it deep enough into the corner that he puts the Cubs on the scoreboard.
Mark Grace, one of the outstanding not only hitters overall with that 300 average, but also clutch hitter. He gets the RBI and a 1-0 lead. And Henkin again has trouble in the first inning of a ball game. That one coming with 2 down and the Grace RBI. There's something about those first innings. Grace on at second now, and Rodriguez. Henry Rodriguez like to get into the swing of things here early on in the season. Fouls that one off and out of play. Cubs are going to have those days where when their offense is going, they are going to score a ton of runs. They're also going to give up a ton of runs. They're going to play a lot of those high-scoring ball games as they did last year, especially at Wrigley when the wind's blowing out. 1-1 pitch. Breaking ball missed inside to him. 2-1 on Rodriguez.
The reason I think Grace will give Henkin more trouble than Rodriguez is because Rodriguez is one of the better low ball hitters in baseball. Henkin likes to ride that fastball in on the hands of left-handed hitters. Grace is just too quick to consistently do that. Rodriguez, that's the one big hole that he's had throughout his career. But you miss down, he can hit it a long ways.
You pay. 32-year-old out of the Dominican Republic at the plate. Henkin with a 2-1 count. Grace not a threat to run out there at second base. Fastball missed down low, and Henkin falls behind. 3-ball, 1-strike count, and that's 23 pitches Pat Henkin has already thrown here in the first inning.
And right away, the veteran, after he bounced that ball to Matheny, turned and looked to the on-deck circle. He knew who was over there. He just wanted to make sure it was Shane Andrews. He thinks he can get Shane Andrews out. Then you don't challenge Rodriguez here. Try to get him to chase the breaking ball down in the dirt or another high fastball.
Fastball in the outside corner that time, and 3-2.
Well, when you throw that 3-1 fastball right down the middle, that means you don't want to face Shane Andrews. You're going to take your chances with Henry Rodriguez.
I think Matheny thought that was the third strike. He started walking away and almost threw the ball to the mound. He walked behind the batter, and that one will be fouled back to keep the at-bat alive. 3-2. Pat Henkin, 11-12 last year with Toronto. Had a tough time at Sky Dome with an ERA that was almost 7. Did much better on the road. Cardinals are hoping that'll make a difference, getting him into an open ballpark. Here in St. Louis, of course, used to be the artificial surface, now the natural grass. Right field, Davis going back. Shy of the warning track. A lot of blue sky to look up into, and he'll put that one away. Rodriguez retired, but the Cubs on the RBI by Grace have a 1-0 lead. Well, the Cubs have already equaled the output in runs they had in Game 1 when they lost it 7-1, as they've got the 1-0 lead. Now the St. Louis Cardinals without Mark McGwire. Tony La Russa's lineup looks like this. Vina will be leading it off. Fernando Vina 3 for 5, triple RBI and a run opening day. Nice start for their new leadoff batter. Renteria, Langford, Tatis, Edmonds, Paquette, Davis, Matheny, and Henkin on the mound. And for the Chicago Cubs, you love coming to the mound to John Lieber with a lead before you ever get there.
A big, hard-throwing right-hander, good sinker slider. The slider particularly difficult to right-handed batters. They hit only .230 last year off of Lieber. Left-handers, on the other hand, .330.
Both of these pitchers today have been tagged by left-handers in their careers.
Take a look at the Cubs defensively. Damon Buford out there in center, got a lot of room to cover. Joe Girardi behind home plate. This guy right here has got 3 World Series rings to prove that he's doing something right. 8 straight opening days for Joe Girardi, and actually caught 2 no-hitters while he was a member of the New York Yankees. One back in '96 with Doc Gooden, the other last year, David Cohn's perfecto.
And the Cardinals wanted that man behind the plate.
A lot of people did.
This guy can handle a staff. Fernando Vina will lead it off. Vina, an important acquisition to the St. Louis Cardinals, a legitimate leadoff batter. Will take a lot of pitches, a good contact hitter, can be a hit and run man, can run when he's on the base paths a bit. And he's already drawn the infield in case he tries to lay one down against Lieber. He's shown bunt a couple of times, but he's taking for a strike 1-1. Andrews and Grace both moving in at third and first and staying right in on the grass here to start it out against Fernando Vina. And that one looped in the air towards the gap will stay up. Sosa's over, and he's got it. Vina's retired. Lieber gets the first out.
He was one of those guys that's going to challenge you, though. He always throws strikes. He's fun to play defense behind because he's around home plate. Last year in 203 innings, which was a career high, only 40 base on balls. 46 total, but 6 of those intentional. 186 strikeouts. So there's the power pitcher we were talking about.
10-11 on the year for him. Edgar Renteria made that fine defensive play, which loomed even larger in that first inning. Could have did prevent what could have been a more offensive thrust for the Cubs in the first. Renteria can play short, and he's got great hands and range. He and Vina make a pretty interesting double play combination for the Cardinals. They both are very quick. Renteria 1 for 5 in the opener. Cardinals 109th season that they opened up here in St. Louis. Play Milwaukee after they finished the series with the Cubs. Lieber trying to work in a hurry on a 1-1 count. And after that breaking ball down and away, quickly behind on the count 1-2, and Edgar Renteria. 29-year-old right-hander already has a victory. Great opening day start in Tokyo. Beat the Mets 5-3. 7 innings, just 1 run, 5 hits, walked 2, and struck out 2. Good opening day for Lieber. 2-ball, 2-strike count. Outfield straight away. That one driven again to the gap. Sosa over again. That's going to fall in front of him and all the way to the wall. Damon Buford back to get it. Renteria looking to third. Will stop right there. A double with 1 away.
Well, on the left-handed hitter, Sammy Sosa was playing more towards left center. These balls hit a lot alike. Sammy, because of his positioning, was able to get to the line drive off the bat of Vina. But Renteria had been trying to go to the opposite field the first 2 pitches. Sammy had moved over more towards the right field line and just simply could not get to that ball.
36 doubles last year for him, and that one gets by Sosa. It is a 2-bagger. So the Cardinals here in the bottom half of the inning. Runner at second base and 1 away, and Ray Langford at the plate. RBI man. Left-handed hitter. That first ball hitting into right field, base hit. Sosa may come up. Renteria, the turn will hold. Into Mark Grace, who cuts it off, and the Cardinals cover the corners. First ball hitting Ray Langford with a single.
Renteria just wasn't sure if this ball was going to get through or not, so you got to hold. But by holding up right there, because of the strong arm of Sammy Sosa, Jose Oquendo, the third base coach, could not send him. Now, when you've got a guy with as good a sinker as John Lieber has got, he's not real concerned right now. He realizes that if he gets a ground ball and it's at somebody, he might get that double play to end the inning.
Fernando Tatis will come to the plate with an RBI chance. Tatis last year hit .331 with runners in scoring position. The Cardinals had 5 regulars who hit over .300 with runners in scoring position. Tatis, of course, has got that big home run swing going. He loves to just rear back on his heels and go after it. First and third, 1 out. 34 home runs, 107 RBIs last year for the Cardinal third baseman. Breaking ball from Lieber, misses away, 1-1.
What a luxury it is for Tony La Russa to have 25-year-old Tatis, 25-year-old Renteria. Those 2 guys, the left side of the infield, both of them played right at 150 games last year.
Got this called strike on a pitch he wanted to back him off the plate. 1-2 against Tatis.
It's such a luxury for a manager when you can write a guy's name down on a lineup card in ink and leave it there for the whole year. You don't have to worry about whether they're going to be there or not. And already at a young age, those 2 guys have become gamers.
Renteria is the lead runner. Breaking ball hit. Inside out swing. Busy inning for Sosa. That'll score Renteria. Langford is being waved home. Here's a relay throw from Young. They got him. He's out. Fernando Tatis will be credited with a double and an RBI. Sammy Sosa, who's been right, and left out there in the outfield, hit the cutoff man in a relatively easy play at the plate on Langford.
Well, when a guy hits close to 300, it's because he makes adjustments. What happened on Tatis? He got fooled badly on the first slider. He took a big swing and he missed it. Lieber come back with it. Tatis made an adjustment, stayed back on the ball, drove it down into the right field corner, and guess what? Sammy Sosa's tired again.
Man, he's been all over the place. So the ball game is tied at 1 apiece. Runner at third base and a nice pickup by Girardi. Boy, that ball was skipping in the dirt.
Langford looking at Oquendo right there. Now he takes a look back just to see what's going on there. The throw beats him in plenty of time. Girardi there with the tag. And a big play for John Lieber.
Langford out at the plate. 9-4-2 on the putout. 2 down. Lieber breaking ball outside. Edmonds at the plate. A late acquisition, of course, for the St. Louis Cardinals has added even more power into the outfield. Fouls that one off. Another big left-handed bat in the lineup.
Well, one of the changes that Tony La Russa made in his coaching staff, he has had Rene Latchman, who's now become the bench coach. There's a little Latch for the Chicago Cubs. He was always holding down that third base coaching position for Latchman, for La Russa.
Looked like he was coming out of the wrong dugout before the game today.
I asked him, I said, did you go to the wrong clubhouse before the first game on? He said, no, I knew I was supposed to be.
Jose Akendo at third base coaching. Edmonds drives that one to left field. Pretty good wood. Rodriguez at the wall looking. Goodbye. Home run. Jim Edmonds, welcome to the Cardinals. A two-run shot.
Last year for the Anaheim Angels, only 55 games played in because of injuries for Jim Edmonds. But in the 4 years before that combined, an average of over 300, 27 home runs, 97 runs scored, and 86 RBIs. This is a big ballpark here in St. Louis, and that man just hit it a long way to the opposite field.
Opposite field home run. And the St. Louis Cardinals have a 3-1 lead as Lieber has been tagged here in the first inning.
Girardi on the outside corner wants a little backdoor breaking ball. Lieber gets a little too much of home plate, and it's gone.
That one looped by Paquette into the gap. He'll make the turn. Gonna try for two. Buford's throw is not in time. Slid around the tag to the shortstop side of the bag, and Young couldn't get him.
The defense for Chicago doing everything it can. Buford cutting that ball off in the gap. The strong throw to Young, but not in time. How about Paquette? I mean, this guy supposed to be sitting on the bench kicking back. But you know what? For a guy like this coming right out of spring training where he's been getting a lot of at-bats, those guys play regularly in spring training. If they're not going to play in the A game, they'll play in a minor league game or a B game somewhere else scheduled. So they're still swinging the bat good. The problem for bench players is when you get into the season and they don't get to play for 2 weeks. Now they're supposed to pinch hit in the bottom of the ninth against somebody's closer. That becomes real difficult.
You know the story after this game is going to be Mark McGwire talking about moving to the manager's position. Wally Pipp's name is bound to be raised. Smilingly, of course. Paquette in for him is doing a heck of a job. Made a fine defensive play in first inning. He's on at second base, and Eric Davis at the plate. Cardinals had in that 7-1 win in the opener 3 home runs. Craig Paquette a 3-run shot. Sean Dunston and Eric Davis had solo homers. Tony La Russa said before the game tonight, look, Davis is in because he's red hot. It's that simple. He is really playing well right now. He's got the bat going, so the veteran is getting a chance to play. 2 down. 1-1 the count, and 3-1 the score in favor of the Cardinals. Inside corner strike. 1-2.
Hinkin there has got to be feeling pretty good about himself. Only giving up 1 run in the top of the first. He's got at least a 2-run lead to take to the top of the second.
5 hits for the Cardinals off the fist. Guess where? Sammy Sosa. Thanking the good Lord that inning is over. So Lieber, who against the Mets in his opener gave up a run on 5 hits in 7 innings, in the first inning gives up 3 runs, 5 hits, 3 doubles, and a Jim Edmonds home run that was punched the other way to left. When we get late into the season, we talk about how many hits it takes to raise your average, or how many runs have to be scored against you for your ERA to move much. Early in the year, Rick Sutcliffe, it's just the other way around. Lieber's ERA went from 1.29 to 4.50 in 1/2 inning.
He's put an ice bag on his shoulder at the end of the game, but maybe on that ERA too.
Shane Andrews takes a strike on the inside corner, the 28-year-old veteran. A lot of injury problems for him. Montreal Expos finally gave up on him as their third baseman, 5th year in the majors. Getting a shot now with the Chicago Cubs at third base. 1 for 3 so far in this series. He's 3 for 10 on the year. Does have 3 RBIs already. Pat Henkin now needs to throw strikes. Falls behind on Andrews. 2 balls, 1 strike.
St. Andrews has always been one of those guys, though, that can take you deep at any time. 25 homers back in 1998 with the Expos.
And Henkin missed in a 3-1 count. This will drive a manager, and I'm sure a pitcher, Rick, nuts. Your club just got you some runs, get you a lead. First guy gets up there, and you go 3-1 on him. Even worse, obviously, if you're walking. Andrews after the high heat, 3-2.
One thing I'm seeing with Pat Henkin is a little inconsistency with his arm angle. One time it's up, the next time it's kind of down, and because of that, your release point becomes different, and your location you're going to struggle with.
3-2 delivery off the end of the bat. We were talking about that before the game, Rick. You suffer injuries. Sometimes you try and compensate, and you end up messing up your whole delivery.
Well, you have to compensate, Gary, because when you try to get it up top where it normally belongs, it hurts. And you got 2 choices. Either find a slot where it doesn't hurt and try to adjust, or shut it down.
Pat Henkin is regrouping in that regard. That one drilled pretty good to right field. 372 to the mark, and it goes halfway up the wall and off. Into second base with an easy stand-up double. Shane Andrews, and these hitters are tagging both starters early in this game.
This is the one thing right here that the fine hitting instructor for the Chicago Cubs, Jeff Pentland, has been working on with Shane Andrews. He wanted him from the Expos. He wanted him to stay calm on that front side. Look at his head, look at his hands, everything going in the direction of the outer half. Look at him right there. Nice, smooth, good balance, and as we said earlier, tremendous power.
So Andrews is on. We now are in 5 doubles and a home run in this game. Henkin's breaking ball is in for a strike to Buford. We're only in the 2nd inning. Yow. 3 runs, 5 hits of the Cardinals. A run on 3 hits so far for Chicago, and the leadoff man on here in the 2nd inning. Buford making the start in center field. Andrews jockeying at second base. Renteria behind him, and that one goes the other way. Davis can't get it. Short hop over to third base. Andrews, he had to wait up. He had to wait to see if that ball was going to be caught, and the right fielders in this game are getting a workout early. Let's check it and see what's going on elsewhere. Bill Vito.
All right, Gary, thanks. As Midas takes us to Pittsburgh for the Pirates and the Astros. Jose Lima, the Astros pitcher, to first. Kevin Young had 23 errors last year. That's a tough play there, however. 2 runs come in to score, and that ties the game at 2. More from Houston, however, with Craig Biggio. Base hit to right field. Eusebio coming around to score. He's a go-ahead run, and he is in there. 3-2 Stroh.
And here, runners at first and third, and Joe Girardi is the hitter and takes the strike. Girardi with nobody out, and runners at the corners for the Cubs. 4 for 10 so far in the year, and another real good clutch hitter. Girardi last year 367 with runners in scoring position, limited at bats in those situations. Fake the third, throw to first, and no movement.
Well, that play worked in the opening game of this series. Men on first and third. Eric Young down 7-1 with Sammy Sosa at home plate, trying to get into scoring position. Got caught with that third to first move.
1 strike count here. They try it again. That may be the first time I've ever seen that done twice in a row.
Here's what we were talking about. Cubs down 7-1, third to first. Young takes off on the first movement from the pitcher there. And the inning is over, and Sammy Sosa sets the bat down and grabs the glove.
Yow. However, Don Baylor was not particularly hard on Young. Said, look, he was just trying to make something happen. I'm not going to call it a bad play. You don't know whether he's just standing up for his player when he says that publicly, because it's really hard to say you can justify becoming the third out with Sosa at the plate.
We both know that he was just standing up for his player right there. And that's what makes him such a great manager.
Way up high to Girardi. Baylor celebrating an anniversary today. Managed his first big league game 7 years ago today with Colorado. Last, of course, in Atlanta. Batting instructor Chipper Jones said he won an MVP for me by working with me. And now here's the manager for the Cubs. Another throw over to first base. Obviously concerned Damon Buford, who does have speed, might be taking off here.
A lot of times manager Tony La Russa will put that sign on and signal it into the catcher. He's just trying to get his pitcher out of a jam right here without throwing a pitch.
1-2 delivery. Girardi a chopper towards the middle. Renteria will tag it himself, make the throw over to first base. There'll be no RBI on it, but Shane Andrews will score, and the Cubs make it a 3-2 ball game. Now there are 2 down.
Right here will show you why that third to first move will work even when it doesn't work. Damon Buford could not try to get into scoring position because Pat Hinken was keeping him honest. Therefore, he stays at first base. You keep the double play in order, and your defense turns it for you.
So there are now 2 down, bases empty, and John Lieber, the pitcher, stands in against Pat Hinken, who's got a chance to get out of it right here. Great point, Rick, because oftentimes people wonder, why do you pitchers throw over, and fans start booing, and what's he doing? That's why, in a lot of cases, it's just to prevent that leaning, prevent that step, prevent that chance to get the second, keep that double play opportunity alive, and it worked there. 2-1 delivery by Lieber. Whoa, Lieber got a hold of that to deep right field at the wall and hauled in. Eric Davis, who was playing shallow, ran the country mile on the fly ball by Lieber. .260 at-bats coming into this year for John Lieber as a pitcher. He had never had, still doesn't, a home run. But
he had to be thinking he had one right there. He took a peek at it. The amazing thing to me is that Eric Davis could get that deep on that ball. He had to be playing shallow. It's the pitcher hitting. I always told my outfielders, if a pitcher hits a ball over your head, he beat me, not you. But if he bloops one in front of you, it's the other way around. That was a terrific play right there by a man who is not 100%. That left shoulder of Eric Davis still bothering him, but it's good enough to go.
Playing right field today, you better be ready. Mike Matheny will lead it off here, the catcher. Let's see. Lieber throws right, bats left. You know anybody else who did that? Rick Sutcliffe?
You're sitting next to him. But I had a couple of homers.
No, how many did you have?
You know, I don't even know.
No, don't give me that. Do not give me that.
I don't. I really don't.
No pitcher, when asked how many home runs he hit in the majors, says, I don't know.
I had one in the playoffs.
You did. You had one playoff.
And my first one was off some kid named Seaver.
Seaver, yeah, pretty good guy. How many regular season home runs did you have?
I don't know. I really don't. 4.
4? You had 4. 4 regular season home runs.
That's a shame.
You should have been a DH.
Playing at Wrigley Field, I should have hit a lot more than that.
Yes, you should have.
I gave up a lot more than
We weren't going to mention that, but now that you've brought it up. The 2-1 delivery is taken up high, and Matheny ahead on the count here. 3 balls and 1 strike. That is you got to write that down. I mean, that goes in the annals. A pitcher who we asked how many regular season home runs he had, and he didn't know. Tom Seaver will be calling you. You're going to be fined for that.
I hope I didn't make the Hall of Famer mad.
That's a pitcher's fine right there for not knowing. He's not mad that you hit one off him. He's mad you didn't know how many you hit.
It was actually kind of a funny story. The people from Louisville came into the clubhouse before the game, and back then on your bat, it just said pitcher. And I said, come on, I got to be able to get my name and my autograph like all these other guys. And they said, no, we don't do it. I said, come on, there got to be something. They said, you know you're facing tonight, right? I said, yeah, Tom Seaver. They said, if you take him deep, we'll give you your autograph. I'm like one of them. That was it. That night, I'm one of only 2 guys that, you know, has something other than pitcher written on that. And it was like in big block letter. It was the ugliest thing you ever saw.
That's kind of a real put down, isn't it? Yeah, you did good for pitchers then. Maybe Seaver will overlook it. There's a walk he didn't want to give up. Wow. Matheny's on. The number 8 hitter draws a walk, which obviously sets it up for Henkin here to lay one down off Lieber.
A little bit tougher situation for Hinkin here than it would be Lieber, though, and the fact that he's been in the American League for so long. Becomes a big part of the game here in the National League. Pitchers being able to handle the bat.
Andrews is in the batter's box with him, coming in from third. Foul back. Gray stayed back a little bit, trying to hold the runner. So 18 at bats in the major league for Henkin, and he's being asked here to lay down a bunt and get Matheny over to second base. First walk given up by Lieber in the game, and it's a leadoff walk here in the second inning. Henkin, Andrews way in at third, tried to bunt it down to first and didn't get it there. It's foul tipped, I think, and held on to it, an 0-2 count. One hit, 18 at bats.
The key to putting down a sacrifice bunt is just to simply catch the baseball with the bat. Hinkin right there jabbing at it. When you do that, it's not as easy to get the job done. Get the bat in the strike zone, just simply catch the baseball with it.
He's going to try it with 2 strikes, and he got down a fine bunt. Lieber's got to play it over to Young covering. That's a sacrifice for Henkin, and he did it with 2 strikes on him.
Well, Lieber's having trouble with his control. When you walk the 8th guy, it becomes pretty obvious. But when you have the count 0-2 and you know the pitcher's trying to bunt, you don't want to throw anything at all near the strike zone. Throw the fastball up as high as you possibly can. Make him pop it up. Try to keep that runner out of scoring position. Lieber gave him a pitch that he could handle. Hinkin got the job done, and he'll go grab a towel, drink of water, sit down, and feel pretty good about himself.
And hope Fernando Vina, someone else in the lineup, can pick up the RBI. So Vina stands in with Matheny on. Vina flied out his first time up to right, 3 for 6 in the series, and takes the pitch away for a ball. An opportunity here and a base hit potentially. Pick up an RBI for Fernando Vina. 2 for 8 lifetime off Lieber. And that one inside out to right field. Sammy Sosa, runner not tagging. And that'll be the second out of the inning. And we'll check in with Bill Pito. Bill.
Gary, thank you. As Mitsubishi takes us to Cincinnati for the Reds and the Brewers. This is Milwaukee's rookie, Kevin Barker, off of Steve Harris, way back in center, and a home run. First of the year for Barker, and it's 1-0 in favor of the Brewers in the top of the third.
And how many will be hit this year? Home runs. Last year, record season, 5,528 home runs last year. 2.27 home runs a game. An all-time mark. Big Mac, of course, leading that charge out of the lineup again tonight. Grounded by Renteria to third base. Andrews makes a long throw over to first to Grace, and that'll do it. So a good job by Lieber to get out of it. No runs, no hits, and a base runner left on.
ESPN Wednesday Night Baseball is brought to you by Pfizer, where life is our life's work.
Great to have you with us here in St. Louis with Rich Sutcliffe. I'm Gary Thorne, and our Wednesday Night Baseball crew on hand here. And right now it's the hitters who are wearing out the pitchers. Popped up by Eric Young and handled by Matheny in a 1-pitch, 1-out start. Young, who grounded out the first time, to lead off the third inning for the Cubs.
And now's where you expect the veteran pitcher for the Cardinals to settle down and start having some easy 1, 2, 3 innings. He really threw well the second half of the year last year for Toronto. 3.79 ERA after the All-Star break, and actually during the course of the year left 7 games with the lead and got a no decision.
He faces Ricky Gutierrez, who had a single and scored in the first inning. 3 runs, 5 hits for the Cardinals, 2 runs, 4 hits for the Cubs. Gutierrez now 1 for 5 in the series. Henkin's pitch to second base. Fernando Vina. We were talking about up the middle in that infield. Edgar Renteria and Fernando Vina.
That's a big-time play right there. Hinkin starting to lower his sights a little bit. Got the fastball down. Got the ground ball. And when you do that, you got a 90-foot square out there in the infield. Counting yourself, there's 5 gloves that could possibly make a play. You get to the outfield, there's only 3 gloves and a lot more room to cover.
And quickly there are 2 down. Sammy Sosa with nobody on. He popped out his first time up. And he takes the pitch down low for a ball. Sosa continues to try and get out of the funk. The 0 for 5 in this series, including that 0 for 1 that he had in the first inning. Swings wildly at that breaking ball down and away. 1-1. The matchup between McGuire and Sosa that had been hoped for in this series has not happened, as McGuire missed the first game with a bad back, and again here tonight. Took the full warm-ups, as we said, and he's expected to be back, however, in the lineup tomorrow.
What a special relationship between Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa before the game, laughing, joking with each other. Sammy says, "What's wrong? You all right?" And he says, "I'll be fine. I'm going to watch you tonight." Sammy says, "Well, I want to watch you."
And another towering pop-up. Vina going back, waving everybody off, and he hauls it in. So Henkin threw 43 pitches in the first 2 innings, 7 pitches, and he got him out in the third. A magnificent evening here in St. Louis. I mean, it could not be nicer. And it was cold Monday, yesterday, and even this morning, but it was warmed up mid-70s, and it hasn't gone down much here this evening. Ray Langford leads it off. 0-1 count, 3-2. St. Louis Cardinals on top of the Chicago Cubs. Langford delivered a single, got thrown out at the plate trying to score. Tatis, Edmonds have the RBI. Jim Edmonds with a 2-run homer. Tatis with the RBI double. And quickly a 2-strike count on Langford. 32-year-old got into a little trouble with the club last year. Had an operation on his knee that the club did not authorize, and they were a little concerned about that. But this guy's got so much talent. 306 average last year, 15 homers, 63 RBIs. And they're hoping for even more. Fouls that one back. Count stays 0-2 on Langford.
They're hoping, and talking with Ray Langford before the game, and also Eric Davis, Ray is expecting a big year out of himself. He's done a lot of work with those legs, got them bigger, stronger, so that they can compensate and do the things that he does offensively.
Inside with that one, a ball and 2 strikes. Lieber, 1 walk, no strikeout so far. Cubs starter, 29-year-old right-hander. 1-2 delivery. Who almost had him with a 9-iron. 2-2. Did not go around. Left-handers had 18 of the 28 home runs hit off Lieber last year. 2-ball, 2-strike count. And Langford again started, and he went after that one. So Langford is a strikeout victim, 1 down here in the third. Want to remind you, Sunday Night Baseball. This Sunday, the Cleveland Indians will be at the Tampa Bay Devil Rays home, Tropicana Field. Andy Ramirez, Alomar, joined by Lofton, already drive off with a great start. You'll see him 8 o'clock Eastern Sunday. They're in first place now. Is it going to be another year for the Cleveland just to rock on through? Number 1 in the division all year. It's not a very strong division again. Breaking ball by Lieber missed.
The Indians were able to go out and add a number 1 starter, Chuck Finley, brought over from the Angels. A lot of people think they had a number 1 in Bartolo Colon.
Finley makes his debut tonight for the Indians. They're up 5-4. They've got a slugfest going in the third inning there, the Indians game, which Bill Pito is keeping us updated on. Fernando Tatis with a 2-0 count, an RBI double, and scored a run. 2 for 5 on the season now for the Cardinal third baseman, and a strike on the outside corner from Lieber. Lieber really follows through to that first base side, Rick. Not in a particularly good fielding position generally. 2-1 hit hard. Nice short hop made by Andrews. In the dirt and can't be handled. It'll be an error on Andrews. Gold Glover over there at first base. Mark Grace thought he should have had that ball, but it was in the dirt. So it'll be a throwing error. And Tatis is on with 1 away.
Andrews does the difficult part on that play was when he came up with it. A little in-between hop. He had to backhand it. Was able to do that nicely. Had himself set. Had plenty of time to make the throw. Did not get it all the way in the air. But I'll promise you one thing. Mark Grace is mad at himself than Shane Andrews is right now.
That's one Grace generally handles with ease.
99 out of 100.
If you ask Grace, he'd say the error should be on him on that play. But whenever that throw is in the dirt like that, it's charged on the throw. Jim Edmonds had a home run first time up. He foul tips that one.
Jim Edmonds right there. We talked about all of the problems that John Lieber has with left-handed hitters. And look at Big Matt. Not playing today, but got the pom-poms out, doing a nice job cheering for his ball club.
Edmonds with the 0-1 count. That one's going to miss down low. 1 ball, 1 strike on Edmonds.
Lieber's made a little adjustment here. The last 2 pitches have been fastballs in on the hands of Edmonds. Joe Girardi and Lieber not letting him extend those arms as he did when he hit the home run to the opposite field.
Not a big lead at first base for Tatis. Edmonds' name was bandied about with just about every ball club before the deal was finally made that brought him here. It's clear that he wanted to move and they wanted to move him in Anaheim. 29-year-old outfielder, 8th major league year. Gold Glove center fielder, 97-98. He had a problem with his right shoulder. It hurt him last year. He played in only 55 games.
One of the things Joe Girardi brings to a club is that from time to time that guy on the on-deck circle, when he sees the catcher move inside, he'll just holler something at the hitter. Hey, you know, just holler his first name. And the hitter knows right away, all right, the catcher moved in, something's coming in on him. Well, Joe Girardi does so many things well. He moves late, and from time to time, he'll move in, and he'll listen along with the hitter. And if he hears a guy in the on-deck circle say something, well, he'll just simply slide back out.
Rick, worth watching Mike Matheny when he comes behind the plate. He tends to set up very early and not move. That one misses outside, and Edmonds has a 3-1 count with 1 away and a runner at first.
Well, there's some pitchers that want you to do that, but they also want you to keep your ears open. You might hear a whistle from the dugout if you move inside. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that people try to relay signs to the hitter to let them know what's happening there. It's the catcher's job to find out if any of that's going on and eliminate it.
Makes the throw over to hold Tatis, who could be going here with 1 away. They're concerned about the double play. Ground ball. 3-1 count on Jim Edmonds. Infield shifted over as they play him to pull. And strike on the outside corner. Edmonds did not like that. Edmonds thought he had a ball 4 on that one. Tatis, the base runner. 21 stolen bases last year. He's got some speed. Grace holding him on the bag. 3-2 the count. There goes the runner. That one hit in the air to right center field. Nobody's going to get it. That's a gapper. Tatis was on the fly anyway. He'll score easily. Edmonds will make a turn and stay. IBI double. Edmonds has 3 ribbies in the game. 4-2 Cardinals.
Well, one of the reasons that Jim Edmonds did not have any RBIs in the first game against the Cubs, they walked him the first 2 times. He already had a lot of respect for him. Now all of a sudden he's getting challenged, and he's simply beating them with extra base hits. It was the home run to the opposite field the first time when he extended. Now he gets used to that fastball in. He turns on it, and that shows another reason why they say Jim Edmonds is just a complete baseball player.
Well, what a difference he could make on this team if this is any indication of the year he's going to have. Greg Paquette up there now, 6 hits off Lieber, the Cubs starter, in a 4-2 lead. 5 extra base hits already for the St. Louis Cardinals in this game. Cardinals did not hit well here at home last year. In fact, they didn't hit particularly well overall. 262, ranked 13th in the league. Wild swing by Paquette. But here at home, this club batted .258. They were at the bottom of the pile among National League teams in a home average. Kind of hard to believe. You think about McGuire being on the team, and you just figure they're going to have a lot of runs and a big average, especially here. But not true for the Cardinals last year.
I really always thought this was a pitcher's ballpark. They've moved the fences in a little bit, but now that they've added natural grass, the infield is slower. It's a nice place to pitch. Now when Big Mac steps up to home plate, he can make Yellowstone Park look small. Look at center field out there. Look at those red seats. That's where Sammy Sosa's baseball landed in batting practice.
1-2 delivery outside, one down, runner at second. Paquette 2 for 4 in the series and had a double in the first inning of this game. Greg Paquette, 31 years old, bench player, 238 career average, but hit 287 last year. Fouls that one off by the Cubs dugout, 2-2.
Well, the trend continues for John Lieber, struggling against the left-handed hitters. Last year, a .519 slugging percentage against him by left-handers was the highest in the National League. First time around, Vigna with a line drive to right field, base hit for Langford, home run for Edmonds. Second time for Edmonds, a double.
2-ball, 2-strike count. Edmonds off second base and chased that one. Paquette is a strikeout victim. There are 2 down before Davis comes up. Let's check in with Bill Pito. Bill.
All right, Gary, again, a look at the Astros and the Pirates. Darrell, son of Gary Ward, with Houston up 4-2 in the third, and that one is a high drive way back and right. And I don't think much doubt about that one. Gonzo, solo shot, 5-2 Houston at the bottom of the fourth.
A lot of people think that the Astros, having lost Mike Hampton, aren't going to win that division again. The Reds, of course, are a much better ball club. I still think Houston's going to take that division. I like that team position-wise.
You got to like Bagwell and Biggio a lot. Oof.
Eric Davis, 2 down. RBI chance for Davis. He hit .340 with runners in scoring position last year with 50 chances, 50 at-bats in those situations, and he came through. 1 for 3 in the series so far. Lieber's pitch to him, 2-0.
Bagwell's finally out of the Astrodome. Houston will be playing their home games in in-run field now, and more conducive to home runs. Bagwell only hit 12 home runs last year at the Astrodome, but he hit more home runs on the road than Mark McGwire did.
Amazing. Just amazing. 2-0 delivery. Check swing, and he went around on it. 2-1. The other thing about that, Rick, is that new ballpark is going to have electricity in it. I don't mean that as a pun.
It's going to have a lot of people in it.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's going to be exciting there. I mean, unlike the Astrodome, where you really could die for lack of sound for the players, they're going to be invigorated by the fans in that new ballpark. 3-ball, 1-strike count on Davis. Breaking ball, and that one really tied Eric Davis up. 3-ball, 2-strike count. That was a wobbly knee, non-swing right there. Davis wanted to go after it and guessed wrong.
That's why he can dominate right-handers. This ball starts at him. They've got to give. If you're hitting from the left side, you're not going to give on that. You're going to stay in it, possibly put it in play.
3-2 down, chopper to second base. He got jammed. Young will make the play, and that will get the out. It is an unearned run in this inning, created by the Andrews error. 4-2 lead. Mark Grace will stand in an RBI double in his first at bat. First hit of the series, 1 for 5, takes it up high for a ball. Future Hall of Famer, well, .310 career batting average, better than .300 for 5 consecutive years. Gold Glover at first base. Down the line, in the corner, long run. Langford hauls it in, and Grace is retired. But Rick Sutcliffe, those aren't the only numbers that matter when you talk about the Hall of Fame.
Well, when you think back to all of the 1900s, the guys that have led by decades in hits, every one of those guys is in the Hall of Fame with the exception of Pete Rose, and we all know that story. So guess what? Congratulations, Mark Grace.
Starting early. What cap will he wear? He's only got one.
You know, he not only led the decade in hits, but he led it in doubles too.
And a great clutch hitter. Always among the top 5 in clutch situations for average and RBIs. Mark Grace.
300 batting average or better with runners in scoring position the last 8 years consecutive. Longest streak.
That's phenomenal. Henry Rodriguez, career high .304 average for him last year. 0 for 5 so far in this series, including the fly ball out. that he had Pat Henkin, who's trying to hustle it along a little bit, and Rodriguez wants to slow him down. Henkin's got to be feeling good here. He's getting the ball back and wants to throw it right back in. Breaking ball, fooled him, fouled off. So the first inning, we told you, is Henkin's big problem. He gave up a run there, and then the run in the second inning for the Cubs. Now retired 6 in a row. And he wasn't even close to that one. Rodriguez strikes out. Henkin gets the K. Coming up tonight, 10 o'clock. Following us, and at midnight, Carl Rabbit, Peter Gammons, Earl Reynolds. All of our great analysts on hand. Highlights, Griffey Jr. getting a hit in Cincinnati. We'll see. Dodgers, can they win 10-4, 3 games in a row? Hershiser's going to go. Chuck Finley, first start for Cleveland. All coming up. Baseball tonight. Barry Thorne, Rich Sutcliffe. Wednesday night baseball here in St. Louis. Foul back by Shane Andrews. Andrews wants one back now. That error he committed in the last inning, allowing the on-earned run to score. 2 down, bases empty. Double and a run scored for Andrews, who's gone 2 for 4 against the Cardinals. Fastball inside low, 1-1.
Shane's basically even now. He scored a run and he let one in.
You don't want to be keeping those things even, though. You want to be way ahead in that. 1-1, little bender that missed down low. 2 ball, 1 strike count. Henkin hasn't walked anybody. He's picked up a strikeout. 2 workhorses, 23 innings last year. 199 hits off him. Got a pitch inside doing that time. Andrews popped it up. Pena says a little prayer on his knees for that one. Andrews is retired. 8 in a row now have been set down by Pat Henkin, protecting the lead. St. Louis Cardinals, who won the first game in their home opener a couple of days ago, trying to take the second against the Cubs, have the 4-2 lead. Joined us late. Mark McGuire out of there, the bad back, keeping him out of another game. And Bunting Matheny, looking for a base hit, fouls that one off. Mike Matheny, who drew a walk his last time up, the only one surrendered by Lieber in the game, trying to lay one down as he caught Andrews back at third base.
He's not a stranger to bunting. Back in '97 with Milwaukee, he led that team in sacrifice bunts. Not really a offensive statistic you want to lead the team in, but it's a fact.
229 major league average coming into this season for his career. Infield will stay back. They don't think he's going to bunt here, and he doesn't. Breaking ball swung on and missed. 0-2 on Mike Matheny.
Really not a bad idea on the part of Matheny there, because the slider of John Lieber just almost impossible to put in play when it's in a good spot, and that's where he put that last one.
Really gets you swinging at pitches out of the strike zone. Just missed the outside corner with that one. 1-2 and a fastball. 4-6-0 for the Cardinals. 2-4-1 and an unearned run off that error committed by the Cubs. Matheny and Lieber, the 2 starters, touched up early. Henkin, obviously, and Lieber. Henkin has settled down. Oh, first base ground ball, and Grace waved at it. Looked like he wanted to make that play on the charge, and the error is going to be charged to the Gold Glover, Mark Grace.
Ball just kind of cued off the end of the bat right here. It looked like it was going to keep going towards the line on Grace. You can see the dirt come up right there. The ball actually kicked back to Mark's right. He looks at the ground trying to figure out what it hit. But right there, he had committed thinking the ball was going to continue to go towards the right field line. It didn't. It gets underneath his glove. And that's the second error for the Cubs.
Wow. Now again a chance to bunt for Henkin, who was tagged out by Grace. That is the second sacrifice for Henkin in this game. He's gotten his job done at the plate. Let's check in with Bill Pito again. Bill.
Gary, thanks. Issues between the Indians and the Orioles. Albert Bell homered his last time up. Chuck Finley, his Cleveland debut, throws behind him. You don't want to mess with Albert Bell. What do we have? Well, nothing crazy occurred. Charlie Manuel, by the way, was thrown out earlier for arguing balls and strikes. We'll keep you posted. 5-4 Indians right now playing the bottom of the fourth.
Oh, Bill, that has memories written all over it there of past days. Fernando Vina, runner on at second base and one away. Vina's flied to right field twice. Rick Sutcliffe, are the hitters too sensitive about that stuff?
Well, it depends on who the pitcher is. Guys like Martinez and Randy Johnson, even Greg Maddux, watching Jamie Moyer last night. Those guys that have proven they'll pitch in, that do it consistently, no. But guys that just do it once in a while, that's when you get all bent out of shape. People need to do more of that. John Lieber making that adjustment right now. He's starting to come in with that fastball, particularly to the left-handed hitters.
Vina 3 for 7. And an RBI opportunity here. The runner at second base. And he bunts for a base hit. And is it tilted right? No. Not for the Cardinals anyway. You're talking about getting ladled. Well, Vina and Bell, who we just watched, have had occasion to meet up before. Fernando Vina right here. Whoa, a very controversial play as to whether or not that was a little extra forearm shiver or not by Bell.
Well, that was the problem. That forearm came out. If Bell just simply ran him over, to me, that's just good hard baseball. But you start throwing forearms at guys' heads, you got trouble.
1-2 delivery to Vina and a strikeout. Good scoop made by Girardi on the pitch. So Lieber gets the K. He's got 3 in the ball game.
Well, Lieber's really settled down now. You can't tell it because of the error in the third and here in the fourth, but he's established that fastball in, and when you do that as a hitter, you speed their bats up. They've got to start their swing a little bit quicker. When you get that going, now you've got the changeup down in the dirt. You know your catcher Girardi will keep it in front of you, and you can start getting left-handed hitters out.
Chance to get out of another inning with a runner in scoring position. Edgar Renteria throw back with Young moving over from second base. 2 down.
And see, there we go again. We talked about the third to first working even when it doesn't. That play right there, you're going to shorten the guy up at second base. It's a catcher. He's not a fast guy. Possibly on a base hit, one of your outfitters can throw him out at home.
Breaking ball missed outside, and a 1-0 count. Runs you don't want to leave out there. Perfect setup in a couple of innings to get a run in the second. Matheny walked, sacrificed, and this one reached on an error and sacrificed. Cardinals didn't get him in the first time, and now there are 2 down here. 1-0 delivery is taken up high, 2-0. Lieber trying to work his way out of this one. Renteria with a double and scored in the first inning. 3 RBIs for Edmonds, 1 for Fernando Tatis for St. Louis. And Renteria with a big cut on that breaking ball away again.
This is where, if you're John Lieber, you got to reach back a little bit here. The runner's on base and shouldn't be. The inning should be over, but you got to pick your first baseman up. Grace made the error. He feels bad about it, but if the run does not score, nobody gets hurt. Lieber can walk over to the dugout, pat him on the back, and say, hey, it's over with. Nobody hurt. Go get me some runs.
Renteria struck out 82 times last year. Takes that pitch inside, and the count goes to 3-1 on Edgar Renteria, the number 2 hitter, with Langford hoping for a chance on deck. Renteria is a pretty good contact hitter in that 2-hole. Lieber 3 strikeouts and a walk so far. Matheny off second base. And strike 3 called on the inside. Strike 2 called on the inside corner. Lieber has worked inside there in this at bat and gets the call that time.
Been doing it to the left-handers, and now the right-handers starting to see that fastball in. You make that happen. What are you setting up? You're setting up the breaking ball.
Inside corner again. So he ends up with a couple of strikeouts here. 4 in the game. Runner left at second. No damage done on Grace's error. There's that big arch on the banks of the Mississippi here in St. Louis, and the Cardinals have a 4-2 lead on their second game of the season. I want to remind you, Wednesday Night Baseball, Dodgers, Giants next Wednesday. 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 Pacific, and that will be from the new ballpark, of course, where Mr. Bonds has already launched one out into the water of San Francisco Bay. Damon Buford leading it off here. 1-0 count. Buford singled in the second inning. Henkin has settled in, retiring the side in order in the last 2 and the last 8 in a row. Buford's got good speed and takes that pitch for a strike. Tim Cheetah's calling the high strike tonight, isn't he, Rick? Looks like it.
But he's not an American League umpire anymore.
No. That's going to be interesting. In at third, Tatis still makes the play. Tatis was on the cut of the grass that time.
You know, the American League umpires were always labeled as the high ball league. They would call the high strike. Take a look at a nice play. Look at where Tatis was positioned right there, in on the grass. You really don't have time to take a step one way or another. All you can do is dive. He extends fully, able to come up with it. And as hard as it was hit, it was an easy play after he caught it.
He's got a cannon for an arm, doesn't he? Joe Girardi to right field. Easy play made by Davis, and Henkin's really got it in cruise control right now. 2 down.
Just to finish the thought on the home plate umpire, Pat Hinkin, certainly familiar with the strike zone of Tim Tashida over there in the American League for all those years. But we have Major League Baseball umpires now. No AL, no NL.
They got their deal done now under the control of Major League Baseball's front office, with the league presidents, of course, now a piece of baseball history. John Lieber with 2 down and nobody on. Lieber almost had his first Major League home run, driving one deep to the gap in right center field. See, now it used to be American League or National League. Now it's just MLB on the caps of the umpires. 2-0 delivery. And a 3-0 count. Henkin to the opposing pitcher. How does that happen, Rick?
It's not by design. The problem is, Gary, there's that physical element involved where, you know, your body just didn't do what you expected it to.
Maybe Lieber scared him on that long fly ball out.
I don't think so.
Fouled off the other way this time, and Henkin comes back and gets the count full. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
You just try to tell yourself in this situation, just play catch. The guy has never hit a home run. In all likelihood, not going to hit it out of the ballpark, so play catch. You know, if you throw your fastball at 90, you play catch at, 80, 82.
Another fly ball, left center field this time. Edmonds will drift over and will put it away. That's 11 in a row retired by the Cardinals starter. Tony La Russa before the game was saying, I think there are 2 things we got to do. 1, I got to be able to handle this pitching staff to get it right. Dave Duncan's the man to do that for him. 2, right-handed relievers out of the pen. This issue on the stand. NFL Draft is the cover story. And then a look at the St. Louis Cardinals. And more on Mark McGwire and the addition of Jim Edmonds, who has 3 RBIs. ESPN Magazine. Mr. Edmonds is in there. Mark McGwire's out of there with a bad back bothering him again. And we'll be back in the lineup tomorrow if all goes well. That one drilled deep right field. Right line for goodbye home run.
He's done that more times against the Chicago Cubs than any other team in the National League. That's the 22nd time Ray Lankford has hit a home run off Chicago Cub pitcher.
A 5-2 lead even after the first one. Fouled back by Tatis.
We said earlier he's a good low ball hitter. And guess what? He got the low ball he was looking for. And the reaction from Big Mac, here we go again.
So the Cardinals, who had 3 home runs in game 1 off the Chicago pitching staff, has a home run by Edmonds and now one by Langford in this game. Tatis to left on a line. Rodriguez is there and Tatis is retired. Let's check in with Bill Pito. Bill.
All right, Gary. Rockies and the Braves. Tom Goodwin, new center fielder for Colorado. To center, Andrew Jones. I got it. I don't have it, and I got big problems. He falls down, and Goodwin's got the one run in. Goodwin rounding third. They credit him with an inside the park home run. Wow. 4-2 Rockies, bottom three.
I guarantee you Bobby Cox is going to have a word with his center fielder when he comes in.
That's not an inside the park homer to me. He got to that ball and then kind of started cruising underneath him.
Big night for Jim Edmonds tonight. Edmonds has had the home run in the first inning. 2-run shot. RBI double picked up in the third. Ray Langford has added the 7th hit, a home run to make it 5-2 here in this inning. And against Lieber now, Langford has hit a couple of home runs in his career. In fact, Langford has creamed Lieber, hitting almost 400 against him and 3 home runs. Lifetime for Langford off Lieber. And that's that left-handed stuff again that Lieber struggles with. So Lieber now giving up 5 runs, 7 hits. Guthrie's up in the bullpen. First bullpen action we have seen for the Chicago Cubs. Foul back by Jim Edmonds, and the count goes to 3 balls and 2 strikes. Mark Guthrie in the Chicago pen, and Langford one of the reasons after that dinger. St. Louis last year, we told you they were 13th in batting average. They were 5th in home runs even with Mark McGwire. 5th in the league as a team. Walk given up here, and Lieber's getting close to the end. Second walk he's given up.
Take a look at the manager of the Cubs, Don Baylor there. Anytime you take away the top 2 starters out of a rotation, you're going to have problems for not only the ball club, but for the manager as well. And that's what's happened with Chicago. Kerry Wood is not healthy yet, and neither is Ismael Valdez. But good news for Chicago. Talking with the trainer, Dave Tumbas, is telling us that Kerry Wood was throwing on the side today, and 3 days from now on Saturday, due to throw 5 innings down in Arizona against the extended spring kids.
He is going to throw that simulated game, Eddie Lynch said, the GM of Chicago, on Saturday, and then they're going to send him down to A ball and pitch in a game in A ball, at least one, and then see what it looks like. But he's coming, and what a huge difference that obviously is going to make. Ed Lynch said we want to give him that one A ball game. It'll be with the Florida State League team, Daytona Cubs, and then maybe another one. He said, I think there'll be another start in A ball, but I'm not sure. Greg Paquette, runner on at first base. Lieber again with that breaking ball. Strike 1.
Gary, how about those kids in A ball that have to try to hit off of Kerry Wood? I mean, can you not see those kids going, wait a minute, are all the guys in the big leagues like this?
This is tough.
I think I'll just go home.
That is, boy, when you send a major league pitcher of that caliber down to A ball, guys who are really learning how to play the game still. That's nasty stuff. 0-2 count on Paquette, 1 down. Runner on at first base. Jim Edmonds has been on all 3 times up.
Big John Lieber, just a workhorse for the Chicago Cubs last year, a career high in innings. But with the errors that have happened here tonight, he's thrown a lot more pitches than he should have had to have thrown.
That one fouled off straight back off the catcher's equipment. 93 pitches, Rick, so far.
And probably about 20 of them that he really didn't need to throw if the defense would have been a little bit better.
2 errors up there for Chicago. Baylor obviously has got to be close to getting him out of there. Try and get him through this inning if he can. Swung on and missed. Strikeout number 5 in the ball game as Paquette goes down swinging. So now there are 2 down.
Paquette right here, looking fastball. Another good breaking ball. A little bit more tilt to it there. Lieber can do different things with it. He can change speeds on it. He can flatten it out to run it away from a right-handed hitter. He can tighten it up a little bit more velocity to try to get it in on the left-hander. But that's a tougher pitch for him to throw. That big sweeper to the right hand, he's real comfortable about.
Eric Davis Davis in the ball game is flied out and grounded out. Has a 1-for-4 in this series so far. Runner on at first base and 2 down, so he can let her rip here if he wants to and try and get Jim Edmonds around from first base. Take it inside. Davis has gone 3 for 10 with a homer lifetime off Lieber.
The surprising thing about the bad defense tonight is the fact Lieber works so quick. Normally that's a guy you like playing defense behind.
2-0 count. Well, the error on Grace on a bouncing ball that, you're not going to see many of those. Mike Grace committed only 8 errors in each of the last 2 years. One that just spun away in a cue shot, and Andrews at third is suspect. He made the other error, and he will commit some errors at third base. 2-0 delivery, and Davis could not hold up on that one. 2-ball 1-strike count.
Well, I'm sure that's why the Cubs signed Joe Girardi. They brought Damon Buford over here to play defense, because other than Mark Grace at first, there's not going to be many Gold Gloves out there. So they needed to get stronger up the middle to help their pitching.
Grace, the Gold Glover,
4 times.
And Eric Davis waiting. We'll have to wait a little longer as the throw goes over. 2 out, 2-1 count on Davis. Cardinals last year 75 and 86, 21 games out though, and they only went 38 and 42 at home. Those numbers have got to be improved on. Make it a race in the division. 2-1 delivery, and Davis, one of those big, wide, long cuts. 2-2.
Chicago Cubs team ERA last year 5.27. That was the highest in their franchise history. And the amazing part about that to me is that I was a part of some pretty bad pitching staff there in Chicago back in the 80s.
You didn't reach that number. 3-ball 2-strike count on Davis. So with 2 down, Grace will back up behind Edmonds at first base. Tony La Russa, 22 years at the major league level, seen a lot of baseball. A real respected managers, hoping this Cardinal team can make that improvement. Runner goes, and Davis goes down swinging. Ray Lankford, though, delivered the home run, his 182nd of his career. 5-2 Cardinals.
5-2 Cardinals, top of the 6th inning. Sammy Sosa due up for the Cubs here. What have they done to him? Well, in Monday's ball game, his last 3 at-bats, all strikeouts, all basically on the same pitch. Good hard fastballs on the outer half of the plate. Darryl Kyle with tremendous command. What are they doing tonight? Fastball away, pop up to second, and you got it. The exact same thing, the exact same result.
Henkin making his first start ever against the Chicago Cubs and has really settled it down. He's got a 5-2 lead. Eric Young, the leadoff batter, has gone 0 for 2 in the ball game and 1 for 5 series. Sosa's in the hole. Henkin, first 2 innings, 3 runs, 4 hits, and threw 43 pitches. The last 3 innings, he's retired all hitters on 28 pitches. So Henkin really is settled in here, and Tony La Russa has got to be very happy about the performance by Henkin. Tony talking with Rick and I before the game, saying Henkin's not really ready. We put him out there to throw what he can, but I think he's got to have a couple more starts before he really is in game condition. Well, he looked pretty good so far tonight.
He sure has looked good. He struggled a little bit early, but now he's gotten in sync, and I think some of that credit's got to go to their pitching coach, Dave Duncan.
Eric Young's got a gapper way back near the wall, and that one takes a hop up off the top of the wall and into second base. Leading it off, Eric Young with a stand-up double for the Cubs. Let's check in with Bill Pino. Bill.
All right, Gary, the Indians and the Orioles. Jim Thome is at the plate for Cleveland. And Jim Thome the other way and over the wall and left for a home run. Solo shot for Thome. 6-4 Cleveland. Top 6.
Cleveland's going to make a lot of pitchers wish they were in the other league. Ricky Gutierrez coming up on at second base with a double. And an RBI chance now. Eric Young. 5 hits for the Cubs. That is the first hit they've had since the 2nd inning, as they have been retired in order over the last 3 innings. And as you saw, 11 in a row. Now it's 7 doubles and 2 home runs in this game combined by these two teams. Henkin, a 1-0 count on Gutierrez. Inside corner strike. New York Mets had signed Jesse Orosco at the end of spring training. He got dealt here. The veteran still got a lot of pitches left in that arm. 1-1. Bunted down the first baseline, and a good bunt. The underhanded throw to first in time. Paquette taking it from Henkin. He may have got hit on the way by Gutierrez. Henskin's taking a while here. I don't know if he got kicked or got dirt in his eye. Gutierrez, the runner, was very close to him as Henkin came over to field that along the first baseline.
You're right, Gary. It was a good bunt and a good idea on the part of Gutierrez. Get in scoring position, bring up the tying run to home plate in the person of Sammy Sosa. A good bunt, but a great play right here on the part of Henkin. He gets to it. You know you got to barehand it right there, and you got to stay on the inside part and the fair part of the territory, because that's where your first baseman's going to be.
Like Henkin got some dirt kicked in his eye as Gutierrez was going by.
Well, I promise you one thing. If he got kicked in the face, this Warrior was not coming out of the ball game. Back in 1996 and 97, he threw a major league high 529 2/3 innings in those 2 years. The last 2 years, he's just been 23 and 23. Maybe have something to do with all of those innings before, but we're seeing signs of the Pat Henkin that won the Cy Young back in 1996.
So Sosa coming up. Why is Gutierrez bunting there?
Just to try to get on base, and that would bring up the tying run in Sammy Sosa. Gutierrez is not going to hit the ball out of the ballpark. 8 home runs the last 6 years.
He's got a runner on at second base, so I mean a base hit would potentially score a run even.
Well, he wasn't sacrificing there. He was trying to bunt for the base hit. It just didn't happen. A great play. Henkin took that base hit away from him.
A runner at third base now with 1 out, and Sosa, who has popped out to second base twice, has an 0 for 6 going in this series. And Henkin, a key moment in the game for him, and a strike with a fastball on the outside corner.
And you can see where the catcher Matheny's setting up well out there on the outside part of the plate. Sammy is going to have to make an adjustment to that pitch. Either dive out over the plate or move closer to home.
And a grounder to second base again. Daniel will make the play over to first. Run will score, but Sosa is retired. He'll be credited with an RBI. It's his first RBI of the year, and it comes on a ground ball out.
There's Matheny wanting that breaking ball out over the plate, but you could see Henkin missing with his location there. Ball catching the heart of the plate. Fortunately for Henkin, it was down, resulting in a ground ball.
So Sosa's 2 for 14 on the year now. The 0 for 3 in this game. Mark Grace up, bases empty, 2 down, 1 strike count. Mark Grace delivered a double, picked that one up with an RBI in the first inning. The other Cubs RBI it came in the first. 5-3 ball game now. The other run scored on a ground ball double play. And he gets a ride to this one to right field, way back by that foul pole, and it is a foul ball. He clocked that one, but pulled it just that little too much.
Gary, we talked about it in the very first inning. The cut fastball of Henkin, something that Mark Grace can get to. He likes that ball middle in. He's quick in there. The problem for Grace, just a little bit too quick.
Just missed it. 1-2 delivery and a grounder to second base. Vina over, diving, will knock it down, but it's a base hit. Mark Grace is 2 for 3 in the ball game. He'll be credited with the infield single. Vina able to knock that down, but was not going to have a play on it, even on Grace. And so, with a 5-3 score and the power hitter Rodriguez coming up, La Russa's a bit concerned. Wants the left-hander Jesse Orosco. So we'll get our first pitching change as Henkin will come out of the ball game. St. Louis leading at 5-3. A piece of baseball history being made right now as you look at 42-year-old Jesse Orosco making his first appearance of the year, and as a result he becomes part of a select group of these pitchers who have played in 4 different decades.
That's pretty amazing company right there. Congratulations to Jesse Orosco.
You got to pitch long and you got to pitch well.
You know, there's a lot of people, Gary, that have the desire to play the game of baseball, but to play it that long, you got to have that burning desire to prepare to play. And he's always kept himself in great shape, and the good Lord just blessed him with an arm that continues to go.
He's got the rubber arm. Traded. Joe McEwing went to the New York Mets in a deal at the end of spring training. He's appeared in 1,090 games, the all-time major league list, #1. 84-75 is his record. .303 career ERA. Pat Henkin, 5 2/3, good outing. 3 runs, 6 hits, no walks, and a strikeout. He is responsible for the base runner Mark Grace, who delivered the single. Eric Young has already scored in this inning. There are 2 down. Orosco's job here is to come in and get that one big out, and that is Henry Rodriguez. Left-hander against left-hander. Runner at first, 2 away. 5-3 Cardinal lead, and that pitch misses outside. Ball 1 to Rodriguez. Oh, the Cubs right back in this ball game and putting the battle on here in the 6th inning. Nathan's going to stick around and watch if Orosco can get that out here and preserve his chance to win the game. That one will be popped back and no play. 1 ball, 1 strikeout, and Henry Rodriguez.
Manager Don Baylor's got to be just shaking his head right now. We talked earlier about the 2 pitchers that are on the disabled list for the Cubs. Also on the DL is a right-handed pinch hitting specialist, Glenn Ellen Hill. Hit almost .360 last year against left-handed pitchers. Rodriguez has always struggled against left-handers, but because Hill's not available, Don Baylor just has to sit back and hope Henry Rodriguez can catch up with something Jesse Orosco throws.
1-1 delivery with 2 down is grounded foul. Rodriguez hit .237 against left-handers last year and .334 against right-handers. 100-point difference. That's what Rick was talking about, and that's why Orosco has come on to face him here. Middle of the lineup for the Cubs is hurting. Rodriguez 1 for 14. Sosa 2 for 14. McGuire's the man who's been getting on, or Grace rather, 2 for 3 in this game. No RBIs. These 2 big guns. 1-2 count. Trying to get him to chase one, and it missed outside. 2 ball, 2 strike count. Orosco with that sweeping motion, and he's very tough on left-handed hitters. Working the outside of the plate, it's tough for the left-handers to hang in against him. Two and 2 with 2 away. Rodriguez got a base hit into right field. He comes through. Grace will make the turn. Davis will get it back in, and Orosco could not get Rodriguez. And the Cubs, with 2 down and trailing by 2, now have 2 on.
Well, I'm just a little bit surprised that Tony La Russa does not have a right-handed reliever up to come in and face Shane Andrews right now. The next 3 hitters all right-handed for the Chicago Cubs. Orosco just getting the breaking ball a little too close to Rodriguez. Look at it right there, pretty much down the middle. Matheny wanting that ball well off the plate, sitting out there. Location struggling for Orosco. And it looks like he's going to stay in to face the right-handed hitting Shane Andrews.
A real dangerous situation for Orosco with Andrews having power. Runners at first and third, 2 down, a 5-3 St. Louis lead. Each team now has 7 hits. A double for Andrews in 2 at-bats, and Orosco up high. Andrews just struggled so much last year through injuries as Henkin just wants this inning over. It's hard to look at his numbers last year and really know, because he hit just .231 off left-handers and a league low .183 off right-handers. 1-0 count. Got him, and the bases are loaded. Jesse Orosco clipped him, And the bases are full with 2 down here in the 6th inning for the Cubs.
Andrews is just going to take the outside corner away from Orozco. He knows he doesn't throw that hard anymore. Gets caught diving right there. And now there's a right-hander up. He's flipped Slocum, getting it going as quick as he can. The left-hander down there, the phenom Rick Ankiel, has been throwing for a while. He should be about ready.
He's ready, but you saw how quickly Heathcliff Slocum started to throw, because he's not. And now Jesse Orozco will face Damon Buford. Buford 245 off left-handers last year, 241 off right-handers. And ball 1. Damon Buford. So Orozco has come on, given up the single to Rodriguez and hit Andrews. He's responsible for those 2 base runners. Grace at third, the responsibility of Henkin, the starter. St. Louis with a 2-run lead in jeopardy right here. Orozco deals and doesn't get the call. He thought he had the corner. 2 ball, no strike count, and no place to put Buford. Mark Grace, who had a single. Rodriguez came on, a single off Orozco, and Andrews hit by a pitch. Cubs trying to battle back. Henkin watching. 2-0 delivery. Inside corner, strike, 2-1.
And that's the way Orozco has got to pitch right now at this point in his career. 2-0. He's still got to throw a breaking ball. Hitter sitting on that fastball. If Orozco throws it, he just doesn't have enough velocity to get away with it anymore. There's a 2-0 breaking ball, and the crafty left-hander still with the ability to throw it for a strike.
Left-handers are always crafty, aren't they? Whatever happened to right-handers? How come right-handers are never crafty?
I don't know why that works, but I tell you what, if you can throw strikes and you're left-handed, call your local general manager.
2-1 the count. Bases loaded. 2 down. And Buford pops it up behind second base. Renteria's got it, and Orozco and the Cardinals get out of the inning. No one more happier than Pat Henkin, who's got a chance to win this game.
5-3 Cardinals, bottom of the 6th inning. Things starting to get exciting around here. Cubs get the tying and go-ahead run on base. Jesse Orozco, after throwing a 2-0 breaking ball for a strike with the bases loaded. Look at that reaction right there. After all these years, 4 decades of doing this, that burning desire still there for Jesse Orozco, and nobody happier than Pat Henkin, because he knows that he's in line to pick up the win here tonight.
Now the Cubs will go to the bullpen and bring on the veteran Mark Guthrie, 34-year-old left-hander. As we go to the bottom half of the 6th inning, it'll be Matheny, then the pitcher, and Vigna due up. Matheny's had a walk and reached on an error. There you see Mark Guthrie's numbers. And a towering pop-up on the first pitch to second base. Young. He's got it. Matheny's out of there, and there's one away. Talked about the 3 home runs hit by the Cardinals in the opener here. This end, Sean Dunston had one of them.
Tony La Russa pulling all of the right strings Monday. When Mark McGwire went down, he pulled Craig Paquette's name out of the hat, put him at first base. His first at bat, a 3-run homer. He needed a pinch hitter later on in the ball game. Selected Sean Dunston. Same result, another home run.
So Dunston is on as the pinch hitter for Jesse Orozco. Came on and worked for the final out, giving up a single to hit batter, but got in that third of an inning enough to protect the lead. And then Orozco's out of there. Dunston, the pinch hitter. Mark Guthrie with 1 down. And Dunston takes it inside for a ball. 5-3 Cardinal lead. Obviously wanting to add to it here. Sean Dunston, well, that one hit, the home run, in his only at bat as a pinch hitter. That's what he's done on the season so far. 1-0 delivery. Fouls that one off. Cut part of his own body on that one.
Kind of ironic that last year Sean Dunston started the season with the St. Louis Cardinals. but got traded at the trading deadline there in July to the New York Mets. What's ironic about it, he got traded for Craig Paquette. That's the best trade you can make. You trade a guy for a guy and you get both of them. He could swing right there. Not a very good result for Sean Dunston. That foot will be sore for a while.
Barking on that one. 1 ball, 1 strike count on Dunston. And Dunston takes it down low from Guthrie. A 2 ball, 1 strike count.
I used to always laugh at hitters when they would do that. And then finally, one day in batting practice, I did it to myself. And I literally wanted to sit down and cry.
Stop laughing, didn't you?
Oh, well, I guess I did. It's still kind of funny now. I'm not going to take any more batting practice.
There it is. That hurt. That one popped up first base side. Girardi will come over. Blew back a little bit, and he got it. Let's check in with Bill Pito again. Bill.
Gary, thank you. The Giants and the Marlins. The Giants have the lead. They're looking for more here. JT Snow deep to center. Preston Wilson on his horse. Track, wall, and a great catch. But Giants lead at 7-5, playing the top of the 6th.
Maybe some of those scores could be played in that new ballpark, which is going to be much more conducive to scoring runs in San Francisco. Talked about Barry Bonds hitting the ball out into San Francisco Bay, the first one to do it. They've nicknamed it McCovey Cove, that area of the bay that's right outside that new yard built in the Embarcadero area. 2 down here. Fernando Vaina, a 1-0 count. Vaina 0 for 3 in the ball game and 3 for 8 in the series. Mark Guthrie out of the pen, and this is one of the real concerns for Baylor and the Cubs, their bullpen. Not a lot of faith in it right now. 1-1.
You talk about desire to get on base. Watch this first pitch right here to Fernando Vaina. Watch his right knee. Look what he sees it in there. You see him stick it out there. He knew it was a soft breaking ball. Wasn't going to hurt. Thought he might get a piece of his body on that baseball and get himself down there on base.
1-1. Strike call. Talk about a guy who appreciates where he's at. His parents defected from Cuba. Came in to the United States, into the South Florida area. He was born in the United States, however. But a very happy man. You talk to him about what his parents have gone through to get here. And he says, I just thank God every day for what I've been able to do. 2 ball, 2 strike count.
Well, we saw in the video earlier that he could take a collision with Albert Bell and keep going. A little breaking ball from Mark Guthrie is not going to do any damage.
These managers have to love these kind of ball players. I mean, this is a get down, get dirty, every day, ready to play, never complain. Do whatever it takes.
And wanting to get on base that bad. You got to respect that.
Hit me, hit me. 2 ball, 2 strike count to him. Fernando Vaina, ground ball towards second base. Young got it. He's got some speed, too. Good work by Guthrie. We've completed 6. Cardinals on top by 2. He's scheduled to start on Sunday, but he'll work this day in relief. 20-year-old Rick Ankiel, one of the real bright lights, not only for the Cardinals, but for Major League Baseball, Rick.
Boy, for those of you out there that play that fantasy league baseball, try to pick this kid up before the world finds out about him. Throw the fastball in the mid-90s, an outstanding hook, a tremendous athlete. He's got that desire to learn. And when you got a manager like Tony La Russa and a pitching coach like Dave Duncan, there's a lot to learn from those 2 guys.
Joe Girardi will face the 20-year-old left-hander. Ankiel worked 9 games, 5 as a starter last year with the Cardinals, went 0-1. He's had only 2 minor league seasons under his belt out of Fort Pierce, Florida. And Girardi laid on the fastball, and a lot of hitters are going to do that. And a 1 ball, 1 strike count on Girardi.
And you can't get deceived with the velocity either. That last fastball, 91 miles an hour. You think, well, that's not that quick. He can get it up to 95, but it's a deceiving, sneaky type velocity. That ball just gets on you quicker than you think. Oof. Yeah, there's 95. And you know what? There's more gas in that tank.
Liniak on deck. He the pinch hitter. Girardi That was an off-speed delivery that slipped out of his hands, and a 2-ball 2-strike count. Cubs had a chance, leaving the bases loaded against Orozco in that last inning. That one onto the screen will hold the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Girardi, pinch hitter, and the number 9 hold, and Young due up here for the Cubs in the 7th inning. Veteran Joe Girardi, 0 for 2, was hit into a double play in this game and got jammed. Just got enough of that to foul it back to hold the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
That's all the veteran Joe Girardi can do in a situation here with a pitch like that. You got the youngster on the mound. Nobody knows a whole lot about him. You read all the press clippings, but that doesn't tell you what it's like to face his fastball.
Boy, he piled the strikeouts out in the minors. A ball, he had 181 strikeouts in 126 innings. Prince William. Double A, 75 strikeouts in 49 innings. Triple A, 119 strikeouts in 88 innings. Girardi gives it a ride, left center. Edmonds will haul that one in. And Girardi's retired, 1 down in the 7th inning. $38,908 on hand here tonight in St. Louis. Not a sellout crowd by any means, despite the McGuire-Sosa hoped for confrontation. But McGuire, of course, out in the first game and also out in this one with a bad back. Nevertheless, early on in the year before school gets out, still a pretty good crowd here in St. Louis. Liniak is up, the pinch hitter. With 1 down and nobody on. First ball hitting and fouls it back for a strike. Comes out of the Boston Red Sox organization. Liniak, just 23 years old, was with the Red Sox for 5 minor league seasons, then came over to the Cubs last year when Rod Beck was dealt to the Red Sox. That one is down low. 1 ball 1 strike.
Liniak actually pinch hitting for a guy he was traded with coming over to the Cubs. Mark Guthrie also part of that deal.
1-1. And he comes inside on you. You haven't got a chance.
Well, that's another thing you got to like about this kid. He's not afraid to do it, and he knows how to do it. How do you teach a youngster to pitch inside like that? You got to pitch past the hitter.
And set him up for 1 away. See you later. And there are 2 down. Want to remind you, National Hockey League action coming your way Friday night on a battle for the playoff spots in the Eastern Conference. The Pittsburgh Penguins will take on the Buffalo Sabres. ESPN and ABC exclusive networks for the NHL and the Stanley Cup playoffs. Game really matters. Penguins, Sabres, Hurricanes, and Canadiens fighting. 4 teams for the final 2 spots and not many points separated. Friday night from Buffalo. Eric Young, 1-0 count. Ankiel's pitch to right center field. And Davis reached in. Edmonds picks it up. Base hit. Davis made the dive for it. Jim Edmonds got out of the way, and the ball skipped away for a single for Eric Young.
Not hit very hard, but it's going to look like a line drive in the box score tomorrow. You got 3 guys with tremendous range. They're all going as hard as they can. Eric Davis must have said something because Edmonds kind of pulled up, but nobody could get to that baseball, and all of a sudden the tie-in runs at home plate.
Cubs keep coming that close. Ricky Gutierrez up. Gutierrez takes it down low for a ball. 2 down, 1 on, 7th inning. And the Cubs now have 8 hits in the ball game. They're out hitting the Cardinals 8-7. Runner being held at first, and the fastball misses away. 2 balls and no strikes.
I know Don Baylor is about as aggressive as they come as a manager, but I might put the take on right here. Gutierrez with no power, the guy in the on-deck circle. All the power you'd ever want.
I think you were right, Rick. Gutierrez is going to hit ground balls. That's what he does now. Tries to put it through, and you got Sammy Sosa waiting on deck. Means Gutierrez is going to see a lot of pitches to hit. He stays in that part of the order.
Great position to be in, isn't it?
Here's the 2-1 delivery to him up high. On Keel wants this hitter right here, but he's fallen behind 3 balls and 1 strike. Not even take again.
Well, I don't know that Don Baylor will put the take on, but he's going to instruct his hitter, make sure it's exactly what you're looking for. I think deep down Don Baylor might want him to take, but you can't put it on here.
Didn't have to. Don Keel's worked himself into a jam with 2 down. Young will go down to second base. The walk given up, Gutierrez. And here comes Sammy Sosa, and Dave Duncan's on his way to mound.
Well, Duncan's just going to remind his young left-hander that you've got to pitch past the hitter. I mentioned that just a little while ago. You teach young guys to pitch inside. If you've got Mark McGwire at home plate and you see him standing there and you got to throw a fastball in, you're in trouble. Because if you don't get it in, he's going to hit out of the park. If you get it too far in, he might come out and beat you up. But if you picture like a little left-handed hitter in there and you're going to throw a fastball away, in essence, it's exactly the same pitch. But in your mind, you've got to get past that hitter, as Ankiel has to do here with Sammy Sosa. Just you and the catcher make the pitches and hope you get the results.
Sammy Sosa, 2 down. Cardinals up by 2. 2 on. Strike 1. Sosa last year, .313 off left-handers. He had 18 home runs off lefties, 45 off right-handers. He had about 4 times as many at-bats against right-handers as left-handers. 0-1 delivery by Ankiel, way up high. 1 ball, 1 strike. You've got Mark Grace, the on-deck batter, right there. You haven't got much wriggle room here. Young and Gutierrez, the base runners. Tried for the outside corner and missed it. 2-1.
You got problems right here. Even though Grace is a left-handed hitter, you got a left-handed pitcher on the mound. Mark Grace's career average just barely under 300 against left-handed pitching, so it doesn't matter.
Well, this thing surprised me, Rick. There's nobody in the bullpen for the Cardinals. 2-1 delivery. You would think at this point in the ball game, especially with a left-hander throwing, you might want to have somebody up in the pen just in case. I mean, obviously you've only played 1 game. Everybody's rested out there.
The day off yesterday.
Yeah. But Tony La Russa's not doing that. 3 ball, 1 strike count. Sammy Sosa, RBI and a ground ball out, the only one he's had this year. Fouls that one back. He was anxious on that at the plate. 3-2.
Might have helped him just a little bit right here. It looks to be ball 4. You see Matheny go up there to try to catch it. Sammy also trying to get up there to hit it, but the guy's not going to give you anything to hit. You simply, the best thing you can do for your team, take the base on balls and hope the guy behind you can make it hurt.
McGwire, the fan, watching. Cardinal fans applauding. 3-2, runners go. Grounded to third. Short hop, Tatis got him. Runs a base hit, 2 left on, 7th inning stretch time from St. Louis.
Cardinals hit here with a 5-3 lead in the bottom of the 7th. Why are they still ahead? We'll take a look at the sequence. Watch the left foot right here of Sammy Sosa. Look at him trying to get out to that outside corner. Tried to come inside, didn't pick it up. Look at Sosa going right back out there trying to help. Now look at Mike Matheny right there. That's why he's in the lineup right now. You got a young pitcher on the mound and Rick Ankiel. Matheny right there saw Sammy Sosa sneaking out to that outside corner. Simply called for the fastball in. Was able to jam Sosa a little bit. Get the ground ball to third. And that man right there deserves some credit for calling that pitch. You got a youngster on the mound. He doesn't know much about Sosa. Matheny, even though he was with the Milwaukee Brewers, got to see enough of Sosa the last couple of years, knew that he had to make an adjustment, did it, and the Cardinals still have the lead.
And that's what we were talking about earlier when Tony La Russa is saying one of the two things has to happen. Pitching staff has to be handled. That's what he meant. He meant getting the guys to learn how to pitch situational baseball. And that was one of them for Ankiel, the 20-year-old, a lesson learned.
And he told me that Matheny was in the game because of his fingers. Not because of him swinging the bat, because of the way he calls the game. A great job right there in the top of the 7th.
Brian Williams, the new pitcher, facing Edgar Renteria. That one is fouled off his foot. Renteria's had a 1 for 3 in the ball game with a double and a run scored in the first inning. And he felt that one. Brian Williams coming over from Houston on the mound for the Cubs.
He's always had a good arm. He's got a pad down there on the inside part of his ankle there. That thing came in handy. It still hurt a little bit, but it would have hurt a lot more without that cushion. Obviously, Renteria tends to do that from time to time, protecting himself.
1 ball, 1 strike count on Renteria. 5-3, bottom of the 7th inning. Cardinals leading right off the end of the bat. For St. Louis, the RBIs. Tatis has had 1. Jim Edmonds has had 3, including a 2-run homer. Langford has had a solo shot in this game. The Chicago Cubs, RBI Mark Grace picked one up at a double. Sosa got one on a ground ball out. The other came on a double play. Down to third and foul. Renteria still with a 1 ball, 2 strike count.
I really looked for a monster year out of Edgar Renteria. He's always been a guy that could hit in the clutch. He proved that in Game 7 of the World Championship that the Florida Marlins won. Always right around 300 with runners in scoring position. He's healthy this year. Legs were giving him a little bit of a problem last year in the early going. They got better in the second half, and he is good to go for year 2000.
He's only 24 years old, and that's a base hit. So Edgar Renteria picks up the single to lead off the bottom of the 7th inning, and we'll check in again with Bill Pito. Bill.
All right, Gary, updating the Brewers and Reds. Jeremy Burnitz is at the plate. Milwaukee's up by 2. Dante Bichette in right's had some adventures out there tonight, but here to the plate, Marquise Grissom, a situation. Out or safe, he is out. Redzo with 2 on in the bottom of the 7th. They're trailing by 2.
A heck of a throw right there on the money. Here's Ray Langford at the plate. Throw over with Renteria. Langford's had a 2 for 3 ball game and an RBI single and a home run and has struck out. 2 for 7 on the year. Williams, the 3rd pitcher on. Lieber, Guthrie, and now Williams for Don Baylor's Cubs. And Langford takes it outside for a ball. Good work by Guthrie, who worked an inning and retired 3 that he faced. Lieber, 5 innings, 5 runs, 4 earned, 7 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Brian Williams, 31 years old now. To 9, Edgar Renteria.
He needs to do that. He also, when he decides to go to home plate, needs to get the ball there as quick as he can. In Monday's game, St. Louis Cardinals stole 4 bases, and that's going to go against the stats of Joe Girardi, but Joe Girardi had no chance to throw any of those 4 guys out.
Renteria, 37 stolen bases last year. Center field, high, deep. Warning track and hauled in by Buford, and that'll hold the runner back over at first base. Just missed on that one.
This is part of that defense we talked about when the Cubs acquired Damon Buford. Renteria is tagging up right there. That ball is almost to the warning track in left center. He's got a great view at the throw. Buford's throw is not on line to second base. He's going to keep going. Buford not only made a strong throw, but right on the bag, and Renteria's got to stay at first.
That keeps him out of scoring position with 1 down. The way the Cubs have been going, they've been that close to getting a lead or tying this game up. So these are important late ball game, late inning runs here that the Cardinals would like to tack on. Renteria a pretty good lead, and Williams will step off.
What the Cubs have got to be careful of, though, is the long ball. This is a tremendously balanced lineup from top to bottom with the Cardinals. 1 to 7, they can go with anybody when Big Mac's healthy.
Pitch out. Renteria not going. Ball 1 to Fernando Tatis. Tatis has doubled RBI, reached on an error. He's scored twice in the game. Boy, he's got power.
Well, you just called for the pitch out. If you're St. Louis, are you thinking there's no way they'll do it again? Maybe a good time to run? We'll see.
Not going. Breaking ball misses outside. 2-0. Tatis 34 home runs and 107 RBIs. One of the things that amazed me is he struck out 128 times, but he was 5th in the league in most pitches seen at the plate. He takes a lot of pitches. And you don't really realize that because when he swings, he's got one of those big cuts and looks like he's a free swinger when you watch him wail away, but he's got a pretty good eye up there.
82 base on balls last year, 107 RBIs to go along with 104 runs scored. No wonder he got a 4-year contract extension.
Man, that's a big picture right there. 3-0 count, and he takes all the way. Missed inside. Williams slipped on the delivery, and the Cardinals here in the bottom of the 7th. 2 on, 1 down for Edmonds.
That's why speed is so important in the game of baseball. That's why St. Louis is excited about Fernando Vina leading off and what he brings to their lineup. That base on balls more because of the speed of Renteria than the power of Tatis.
ESPN Wednesday Night Baseball is brought to you by Keystone Light, America's never bitter beer.
Cardinals trying to add to their lead. 2 on, 1 down. Felix Heredia, 23-year-old left-hander, on to face Edmonds. Heredia is in for the 3rd time already this year. He's worked an inning and 2/3, hasn't given anything up, and has a couple of strikeouts, hasn't walked anybody. Facing Edmonds, who's had a home run, a double, and 3 RBIs, and has drawn a walk. Runners at first and second. Renteria started with a single, a 1-out walk to Tatis. And the Cardinals are threatening here in the bottom of the 7th to extend their 5-3 lead. Felix Heredia's job here to get this left-hander out of there. Rick and I were looking. Edmonds hit only 190 against left-handers last year, so that's why Baylor made this move.
Well, the statistics say that this is the right move to make, but that's why they play the game. If Heredia does not throw strikes, it doesn't matter what Edmonds hits off left-handed. He's not going to have to swing a bat.
And a 2-0 count. Look, fastball. Strike taken.
The reason the relievers of the Cubs having trouble throwing strikes right now is because of the speed and the awareness of Renteria. He was thinking about stealing second there, and Brian Williams was thinking that he was thinking that. Now he's deep into the mind of Felix Heredia here.
So Matt Karchner warming up in the bullpen. These managers now going at it. Strategy-wise, 2-1. Edmonds outside doing. This is why a manager either gets gray hair or loses hair. You bring a guy in to get 1 out, and now it's a 3-1 count on Edmonds.
Yeah, if those hairs don't turn gray, they turn loose, don't they?
Only 1 away. Edmonds, chance to have a huge night with a base hit here. Add to his RBI totals. No play at second base on Renteria. Gutierrez, the shortstop, moving in behind it. Tatis watching all the action from first.
Well, he's hoping that Renteria takes off because he's going to go right behind him. Might pick himself up a stolen base.
Got good speed on the base pass here in Renteria and Tatis. 3-1 count. Edmonds waiting. And he walked him, and the bases are loaded. And of course it's going to be Greg Paquette.
Well, last year, Tony La Russa understands what Don Baylor is going through now and what he's doing right now. La Russa last year led Major League Baseball with 454 pitching changes. The way things are going, Baylor may do that this year.
Well, if Greg Paquette delivers here, Tony La Russa's out as manager, and Mark McGwire will take over as skipper of the Cardinals. Because on Monday, Greg Paquette played for McGwire when he pulled himself out. And what did he do? Delivered one of 3 home runs they picked up, a 3-run in that game. McGwire's out again tonight, saying not quite ready. So, of course, with the bases loaded, 7th inning, who's coming up? You guessed it.
Well, the numbers in this situation would dictate that Don Baylor leave the left-handed pitcher in. Last year, Paquette hit .204 against left-handed pitching, hit well over .300 against right-handers. But for Don Baylor, with his young left-hander not being able to throw strikes and the bases loaded, you got to bring in somebody that's going to put the ball in play.
32-year-old Matt Karchner used to be with the White Sox. Paquette with the bases loaded, 1 down, infield double play depth, outfield straightaway and deep. Paquette has had 10 hits and 44 at bats with the bases loaded. 7 of those 10 have been for extra base hits, but two grand slams. And he's got a chance here with Renteria, the lead runner. Tatis, who drew a walk, and another walk to Edmonds, who's at first. That one hit in the air to right field, deep enough to get a run in. Sosa back to get it. Renteria will tag. So will Tatis. RBI, Paquette, 6-3 Cardinals. So Greg Paquette delivers an important run here in the 7th inning.
Just a piece of professional hitting right there. He gets the breaking ball up. He just simply flips it to the outfield, knowing that the speedy Renteria has plenty of time to score.
Now there are runners at first and third as Tatis tagged up, moved over to third base. Talk about strategy now. The last 10 batters for the Cardinals have seen 5 different pitches as the Cubs, Don Baylor moves them in and out. Lieber, Guthrie, Williams, Heredia, now Karchner. And Davis towards the gap in right center field. Could be a game breaker. All the way to the wall. Tatis will score. Edmonds running on contact is in. A 2 RBI double for Eric Davis. 8-3 Cardinals.
In Monday's ball game, Don Baylor had to sit back and watch 5 guys get walked by his pitching. It's been 4 guys tonight, and 2 of them just scored courtesy of a double off the bat of Eric Davis. Nothing anybody can do in the outfield. Ball hit perfectly between them. People off and running, and Eric Davis standing on second base.
2 of those runs charged to Brian Williams, who gave up a single and a walk. One of them goes to Heredia, walked the only batter he faced. J.D. Drew is on his way out, and Davis will get a hand as he comes out of the game.
J.D. was telling me before tonight's ball game he knew he would get in. I got veterans out there on the corners. They might need a break from time to time, and I'd be happy to give it to them.
There is Williams, who started this inning out with 2 of the 3 getting on, including that walk he gave up to Tatis and came up. 8-3 lead, 9 hits now for the Cardinals. Runner at second, 2 down, and Mike Matheny up and a strike taken. So the Cardinals extend the lead with some big hits. Mark McGwire's going, hey, they don't need me. They're doing just fine.
Baseball needs Mark McGwire.
Got that part right. 1 ball, 1 strike count on Matheny. They're waiting out there in Big Mac land, where he's drilled a few baseballs here over the last couple of years. Right there where that 7-0 went. He'll be back in the lineup tomorrow. Foul back. I think an important note, though, we talked about it at the top, talking about McGwire. He came here July 31 of '97. He has hit 159 home runs in 379 games with the Cardinals. Their record, 181 and 198. a losing record. In the end, what matters is wins. They've added that countdown out there with a home run chase over Hank Aaron, a 755, and McGuire. They'll move him up as he moves along this year, chasing Jimmy Fox right now.
Big Mac wasn't real happy about that either. Thought it took away from the team.
1-2 delivered. Yeah, I understand what he's saying about that. But as you said, baseball needs it. Right now, baseball is thriving on the long ball. It's clearly McGuire sells a ton of tickets. Sosa, Griffey, him. The big long ball hitters. 2-2. And a grounder up the middle. Seeing a single base hit. Eric Davis will score. 9-3 Cardinals, an RBI for Mike Matheny. Drew comes across running for Davis. Matheny comes through with a big 2-out hit.
Just a little icing on the cake here for the night of Mike Matheny. We talked about what a good job he's doing behind home plate, calling pitches. Now the 2-out single picks up a little bit more insurance for Tony La Russa's team.
And Kirchner's pitch to Rick Ankiel, the pitcher. Drilled to right field. Off the top of the wall. Rebounds back to center. Matheny will score. Ankiel hasn't got enough gas to try to go home. He'll get a triple.
Rick Ankiel looks like he was born to play in the National League. You got to swing the bat if you're a starting pitcher over here. Not only did he do it, but he's doing it pretty well. He was 1 for 10 coming into that at bat. First RBI ever. There'll be many more to come.
A 10-3 lead, and Kirchner will take one for the club. Trying to get a final out. He'll cover. Grace the tip. Ooh, close play at first base. Vina. The Cardinals bat around in the 7th inning and take a 10-3 lead. A 10-3 lead for the Cardinals, and Rick Ankiel with an RBI and a triple and almost had a dinger.
Gary, this is a bomb right here. Look at the pitch right down the middle. Perfect swing. I don't know that Ankiel can hit it any further than that. But you know what it makes me think? I talked earlier about this being a big ballpark. It's tough to get it out of here. And you think about how many home runs Big Mac loses because of the dimensions of this ballpark.
That's a scary thought.
I mean, if he played at Coors Field, played at Wrigley Field, played in the new Enron Field, how many could he hit there?
Ankiel goes back out onto the mound as we go to the 8th inning, and the Cubs now down by 7 after a big 5-run inning. In the 7th inning, Cardinals batted around. Mark Grace, what he's done in this ball game. And J.D. Drew will stay in the ball game and play in right field with Eric Davis out of there. Mark McGuire, as far as home and road is concerned, he had 37 here at home and 28 on the road last year. That's a great credit to him to be able to do that in this yard. Have the numbers advantage. 2-1 count on Grace. So the Chicago bullpen struggles again, as they had worried about right from spring training into the season, and does not deliver here. Their starter, still the pitcher of record, John Lieber, gave up the 4 runs, 5 runs, 4 earned, and 5, and the rest off the pen. Inside, and Grace is on with a leadoff walk here in the 8th inning. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Gary Thorne, Rich Sutcliffe, and our Wednesday Night Baseball crew. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Here in St. Louis, Dave Duncan back out to talk to the 20-year-old on the mound.
Gary, we talked about Mark Grace leading Major League Baseball in hits in the decade, also doubles. Another category he led Major League Baseball in during the 90s. He played in more losing games than anybody else, 758. We know that's not Gracie's fault. He did everything he could. He's a .310 lifetime hitter. But if the Cubs do not get some of these problems figured out in the bullpen, that trend for Mark Grace is going to continue.
Hate to say it for any club, especially with Don Baylor, first-year managing there, but this is going to be a long year for the Chicago Cubs. Their bullpen right now has an ERA of 8.78 so far this season in 13 and a third innings work. And there's not a whole lot of hope that's going to get a whole lot better. Wayne House in the bullpen for the Cardinals, who gives some guys some work here in this game. Montiel's schedule to start Sunday, so we'll try and work through this inning. Henry Rodriguez up, and the pitch is inside, and a 2-ball no strike count.
Well, in fairness to the Cubs ball club, this team really needs to get home. They were in Arizona for 6 weeks. They went to Japan for a week. Now they come to St. Louis. That off day yesterday here did not help them. They needed to spend that off day in their bed, drive their car, hang with their family. But no, they play again tomorrow here in St. Louis, and then they got to go to Cincinnati and run into Griffey Jr.'s ball club.
A brutal start schedule-wise for the Chicago Cubs. I mean, and Rick, as you well know, once they do get home, they're going to move in. I mean, they haven't even got their stuff put away yet. It was shipped up from spring training. It's sitting in boxes wherever they have had it delivered. So all that's got to be done when they get home. First homestand, you just spend getting settled. 2-2, great. Oh, what an off-speed pitch. Rodriguez is out of there. What you got for us, Bill Pito?
All right, Gary, here we go for Uguet Urbina. Last year led the league in saves with 41. Has a 2-run lead on the Dodgers with 2 out in the 8th, but with 2 aboard, it's Dave Hansen. 3-run home run, and the Dodgers now lead at 5-4 in the bottom of the 9th. Meanwhile, how about Andres Galarraga? Had the homer opening day, and now he's got number 2. No question about that. A 3-run shot puts the Braves up by 1.
What a great story.
To me, that's the best story in all of baseball right now. The big cat bringing that smile back to baseball.
Man, oh man. Shane Andrews up. Runner on at first is Grace. I remember at the end of last year talking with Bobby Cox about Galarraga. At one point in the last month of the year, they thought maybe Galarraga had a chance to come back. That's how far and quickly he progressed, but they did not want to take that chance. He would not have been 100%, so they did not bring him back, waited it out. Boy, it looks like that's going to pay off big time.
So hard to believe that he could come back. First of all, he's 40 years old. You take anybody out of baseball for a year and try to come back. And then the worst of all, we're talking about cancer.
Yeah. Andrews. Adam ball. Drew's got it. 2 down. So after a leadoff walk to Grace, he gets Rodriguez on a K and Andrews to right, 2 away. And Buford coming up for the Cubs here in the 8th inning. There's a checking in the bullpen. See if he's ready or not. Currently he is. Wainwright has been warming up. 10-3 score with the Cardinals on top. Fastball up high to Damon Buford. Matt Morris could be a huge differential for these Cardinals if he can get back. He's scheduled to work in the minors, simulated games. That one left field way back, and around that foul pole. Foul ball. They hope perhaps Morris will be back here in the 2nd month of the season. He'll be the ace of the staff. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Cardinals last year pitching staff devastated early, never got to regroup.
I tell you what, the way Darryl Kyle threw on Monday, they might have a few aces on this Cardinals staff. He reestablished that fastball. His breaking ball is back that he lost at Coors Field.
Dennis, of course, is back. Saw him over there in the dugout.
Hinken looks to pick up his first win of the year. Dave Veers acquired to hopefully solve the closer problem.
Went down, got that one, popped it up. Buford's pop up to second base. Vigna's there, and Vigna's got it. Cronkill works his way out of that one after giving up a leadoff walk. We go to the bottom half of the 8th inning. Cardinals 10-3. Well, the Cardinals have the 10-3 lead and are beating up on the Chicago bullpen. You're always looking for a little help when it comes to the pitching department. So maybe for Chicago Cubs, you look back a little bit. 1984, this guy was throwing pretty well for the Cubs at that point in time at Wrigley. Pretty good breaking ball, good fastball. He worked on the outside corner, could hit a little bit, had 4 home runs, we understand, in his career, so probably wouldn't hurt him there. What do you think, Sutcliffe? Huh? What do you think?
I'm just surprised those tapes are still around. I figured they'd be old and yellow by now.
Well, we had to go back and have them digitalized, but we were able to recover them from that archive down
I'm glad they don't have a camera down there in the Cubs dugout. Don Baylor might be looking for me after the game.
I told him I'm your agent now, so I want to talk to him.
Oh, those days are over.
I think we're going to have to hold out for a while, though. You may be worth for in a couple of weeks.
You know, the thing that jumps out to me about tonight's ball game is the terrific job that the general manager of the St. Louis Cardinals has done with this club. Walt Jocketty. Mark McGwire called him over the winter to thank him and congratulate him on what he had done with the 3 pitchers he brought in. We've talked about them a lot. But you're able to go out and add a center fielder like Jim Edmonds. The guy today, Pat Hinken, they didn't give up a whole lot for him. Basically a backup catcher, a fringe left-handed reliever, Lance Painter. They might find themselves with a pretty good pitching staff and a good ball club.
Agree with you. Hit hard down to third by Edgar Renteria. Andrews is up with it, makes the play, and Renteria on 1 pitch is retired here in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Baseball tonight's going to be coming along. Big day of action today. You'll get all the highlights, all the scores coming up, including Griffey and Cincinnati looking to get in the hit column. Dodgers 10-4 wins, 2 consecutive days, and Chuck Finley making a start for Cleveland, all coming up. Placido Polanco is going to be the pinch hitter for Langford. Langford out of the ball game with a single and a home run in 4 at-bats. Run scored and an RBI. Placido Polanco here against Danny Young on for the Chicago Cubs. You look at the list, you're talking about the Cardinal changes, Rick. I mean, that's a lot of people. Edmonds, Vigna, Kyle, Bennis, Henkin, Orozco, Veras, James, Matheny. A lot of new people, a lot more I think than people realize on that Cardinal bench. It's a different ball club.
That team needed to make a lot of changes. You mentioned earlier Mark McGwire hitting all those home runs, and they're not even a 500 club.
That won't get it done.
The easy part is saying you need to make changes. The tough part is going out and doing it, and that's what Walt Jocketty was able to get done.
Dennis and McGwire. 2 ball 1 strike count, and that one off the fist to left field. Rodriguez. Polonia retired, and there are 2 down here in the 8th inning. 2 away, nobody on. Chicago Cubs looking ahead to their half. Bottom 3rd will be due up in the top of the 9th inning.
I really like the bench that the Cardinals have assembled as well. We've seen J.D. Drew, Thomas Howard, a switch hitter, come off and get you a hit anytime you need it. Sean Dunston, Craig Paquette normally on the bench. Eli Morero, of course, Polanco there. There's some guys that can do a lot of things for Tony La Russa when needed.
Howard, Dunston standing on the right there. 1-0 count. Tatis up. Fernando Tatis takes it up high. Tatis, he's come across the plate 3 times, having reached on a double, an error, and a walk. Mike was talking about all the runs he scored last year. He's at it again. 2-0 delivery to him, and Young misses down low with it. Left-hander Danny Young you're looking at, 28 years old. A lot of minor league experience. In fact, all of it minor. Another one of those guys who's really paid his dues. He started in pro ball in '91. And this is the first time he's pitched in the majors this year. This year is the first time. 3-1 check swing on a high fastball. 3-ball 2-strike count on Tatis.
I'm really impressed with the stuff of Danny Young. Fastball in the low 90s, good breaking slider, but his problem here in the early going has been finding home plate. Walked 2 guys every time out his first 2 outings. Hopefully not tonight.
3-2 delivery is a fair ball down the line. Andrews couldn't get it. Tatis with that big time speed. Second base, Rodriguez retrieves on a double. Big ball game for Tatis with 2 down. Let's check in with Bill Pito. Bill.
All right, Gary, we showed you the Dodgers going out in front of Montreal, but here, with the bases loaded in the bottom of the 9th and the Expos down 1, Rondell White 0 for 10 on the year. Before that at bat comes through, drives in 2, and the Expos come back to beat L.A. by the score of 6-5. Jeff Shaw was a pitcher at the moment for L.A.
Ouch. Nice comeback win, though. How about Montreal? They went right up to opening day, the morning of opening day, without a broadcast outlet on either radio or TV in neither French nor English. They came up with a French radio contract. That's all they have. They have no television coverage of the Montreal Expos. That's amazing. And no English radio. Just French radio. That's what they got. Jim Edmonds up. Runner at second base. 9 extra base hits for the Cardinals. 6 doubles, a triple, and 2 home runs. And Edmonds has contributed with a double and a homer. 2-run shot in the first inning of John Lever, the starter and pitcher of record for the Cubs. Pat Henkin, the pitcher of record, the starter for St. Louis. 0-2, 2 down. Left field. Rodriguez. And that will do it. Cubs will get a final chance at it. We go to the 9th inning with the Cardinals leading 10-3. Cardinals have the 10-3 lead. Welcome back to St. Louis. 12-hit attack for the St. Louis Cardinals in this game. A reminder, Cleveland Indians, Sunday Night Baseball coming up. They will be at Tampa Bay. Big time bats in both of those lineups. 8 o'clock Eastern. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. Gary Thorne, Rich Sutcliffe. Cardinals blowing this one open with 5 runs in the 7th inning. Pat Henkin waiting to see if he's going to be the winner here. And John Lever, who would be 1-1 if the Cubs don't come back, would take the loss in this game. David Wainhouse will come on in relief. Unkeel out of there. 4th pitcher for the Cardinals.
Wainhouse, 32 years of age, has been around, spent a lot of time at the minor league level after being selected by the Expos in the 1st round of the June 1988 draft. Been signed as a minor league free agent by Toronto in '94, Florida '95, Pittsburgh '96, Colorado '97, and then once again by the Cardinals in January of this year.
Sorry, Morero's come in to play first. Polanco stays in at second base. Paquette moves out into left field. Greg Paquette. Change is made here. And Roosevelt Brown is the pinch hitter. He is not the former offensive lineman for the New York Football Giants. Greer, Modulewski, Ketkavich, Brown. Fly ball right field into that corner. Drew over, will not have a play as it ends up in the seats. And a 2-strike count on Brown. Unkeel worked a couple of innings, giving up a hit, walked 2, struck out 1. Getting his throwing in actually today out of the bullpen. Roosevelt Brown, pinch hitter. 0-2 count on him. Batting for the catcher, Girardi. And the pitch by Wainwright. This is outside. 1-ball, 2-strike count.
That long fly ball Brown hit was not an accident. 22 home runs last year for the Cubs AAA team.
Ooh, got him on the foot. Didn't want that. Wainwright didn't. So here in the 9th inning, Cubs get a man on, hit batter.
Good hard breaking ball, just gets away from Wainhouse. Nothing Brown could do. Pick himself up, dust himself off, head on down to first base.
Over again. That's a good song. I like that. That's very good.
The great thing about going to first base for the Cubs, you get to visit with sweet swinging Billy Williams.
Oh my. Jeff Reed is the pinch hitter for Young, the pitcher. Reed up. Runner at first base, and the pitch is outside Wainwright. Obviously, when you got a 10-3 lead here in the 9th inning, they're not going to hold at first. Marino staying back. 1-0 count. And Reed will take it inside. Wainwright's struggling here, trying to find that strike zone. First appearance in the majors in 1984 with the Twins. Reed, the man up there at the plate. 2-0 count. And fouls that one off down the left field line. Those of you watching the Cincinnati ball game, welcome to St. Louis. Gary Thorne, Rick Sutcliffe. We are in the 9th inning. Cardinals have a 10-3 lead in this game. With the Cubs batting in the top of the 9th, Jeff Reed is up with a runner at first. Roosevelt Brown on for the Cubs. And that one misses. Mark McGwire did not play tonight. That bad back that acted up on opening day has kept him out of the ball game here tonight as well. The two starters are the pitcher of records, John Lieber for the Cubs. 5 runs, 4 earned, and 7 hits over 5 could be the loser. Pat Henkin, 5 2/3, could be the winner. That's a fair ball down the line. Brown's on his way to third base, and that's where the Cubs will have runners first and third as Reed comes on as a pinch hitter and delivers a pinch hit single here in the 9th inning.
Yeah, but more good news for the St. Louis Cardinals. Not only they played well the first 2 games of the season, but Mark McGwire telling me before the game, we'll take a look at the pinch hitter Jeff Reed. Base hit down the line. Got him a fastball he liked. Paquette not able to get there. You wonder if Big Mac, being about 4 inches taller than Paquette, might have been able to bring that down. But Big Mac went through all the drills today. Everything went well. He hit, he ran. And the plan is for him to check everything tomorrow. And if there's no problems, he'll be good to go. That was scary Monday. You know that opening day, the big crowd. I mean, you're going to suck up an injury if you can to go out there and play in front of them, particularly the way McGwire feels about the fans here in St. Louis.
And he had the MRI done, of course. It is, and it was not a disc. He's strained back, which isn't great, but it's much better than having a disc problem. Eric Young at the plate, the leadoff batter, double and a single. Cardinals have out-hit the Cubs 12-9 in this game. Sharper to short. Renteria. Polanco. The relay. In time, they turn 2. Brown will score. It is a 10-4 game, but here in the 9th inning, the Cubs only have 1 more out to work with.
Wainhouse getting the ground ball. Look at Renteria right there. Got his body going in that direction, and that split second and that step that he took in the direction of second base was what was able to record the out at first base by less than a step.
Ricky Gutierrez in the 9th inning with 2 down. And the pitch is taken down. No, a strike at the knees. Gutierrez a single and scored in the first. Broken back ground ball, second base. Polanco. Cardinals win. Cardinals win it by a score of 10-3. There's the final, out hitting the Cubs 12-9. Don't forget baseball tonight. Kyle Rabbits and company. They are coming up next with all the day's highlights. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com.